A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
And now, the Goldbergs. Although Sylvia Allison nearly destroyed Sammy's life, he still wants to marry her. Out of pity, Sammy says. And Sylvia, who came north with the Goldbergs, has become someone to be pitied. Most of the fight has gone out of her. What might have happened to the lives of these two young, confused, and frightened people is impossible to say, but at the critical moment, the same calm presence of young Dr. Christopher Cater intervenes. Christopher is a psychiatrist. Right now, he's treating both Sammy and Sylvia. Although Sylvia is beginning to cooperate, Sammy resents Dr. Cater, who represents truth and light, while Sammy wants the comfort of darkness. Poor Molly is, as she says, beside herself, although she has great confidence in Dr. Cater. Listen.
No, Rosalie.
I'm fine, Ma. Where are you?
Where are I? I'm here. Look up. Here.
Where, Ma?
I'm here outside the family's room.
Oh.
You don't see me? So little I am, such a speck I became. Well, so? Did you call?
I did, but the doctor isn't in, Ma.
So loud you have to speak. I told you I'm standing outside the family's room. I don't want him to hear. I don't want him to know. And I told you that?
I'm sorry,
No.
Ma.
So you called Dr. Cater's office?
Mm-hmm.
No. And did you left word for the doctor not to come here?
No, I didn't.
No, I didn't. What did I tell you? What instructions did I give you, Rosalie? I don't know what's the matter lately.
I'm sorry, Ma.
So go down and leave word if the doctor does come in, or if he calls up his office, or whichever what, that he should not come over here.
How will that sound, Ma?
How will that sound? Regardless how it will sound, what should I do, Rosalie, dear? What should I do? I can't help myself. I want to talk to him before he comes. I have to speak a couple words. If his coming here upsets Sammy so much, I don't know if it's right or if it's wrong or whichever. Papa says I should tell him not to come. So what should I do? So go down, darling. Go down. I said something I shouldn't have said to you before.
No, I'm sorry.
So I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry. So go and call up and leave voice.
Maybe he's on his way tomorrow.
Oh, his family hurt you. So let me go in there.
Everything is her fault again. Why does she keep going to his office if Sammy doesn't want her to?
Yes, dear. Yes, dear. I'm just saying a few words to Rosalie. Go, Rosalie. Where's Papa?
He's on the porch.
All right. Oh. I'm here, family.
Tell that doctor I don't want to see him.
We're leaving word, family. We're leaving word. Pull down your shade like that, Sammy?
I want it down.
You don't want me to put it up?
I want it down.
Better down. Is the coverlet too warm for you? Maybe just this light one?
I don't want that doctor here, Ma.
I left word, yes. I left word. Oh, sit down a little bit. I had such a to-do today with Daisy. A cow sure should know so much. Mike, my sister, came over to milk her, so she was so beside herself. Mike had to discontinue, and not until I sat down on the bench would she hold still, and she gave 4 quarts.
Where's Sylvia?
She has a headache. And Mike said he couldn't understand Daisy because Daisy was his cow before she was our cow.
Where's Sylvia?
I said she has a headache, Sammy. She's lying down.
Did you give her anything for it?
Feeling better now.
I'm going to get out of bed tomorrow, Ma.
You'll be able? Why not?
I'm all right.
You think so, Sammy? Why not?
You can wire Mr. Allison so he knows.
Knows what, Sammy?
But Sylvia and I are getting married. What do we have to wait for? I'll get work. I'll make a living. You don't mind if we stay here just until I get something. Well, why don't you answer me when I talk to you? Why does a child become a stranger when he thinks of getting married? Why do you parents think your responsibility stops? I'll get work, and so will Sylvia. We'll both work. You like her better than you did before. I'm talking to you, Ma. You like her better now than you did before.
Not well.
That wasn't what I asked. She's changed, Ma. She's young. She'll learn. She'll learn from me the things I learned from you.
We mustn't remember the things she did. Ma, you have to forget all the things she did, and I have to forget all the things she did. You hear, Ma? We'll be very happy, Ma, because we know each other for what we are. All right, Ma? It'll make it easier for me if you say yes.
Jake?
Jake. How do you feel, Sammy?
Much better, Jake.
Pa.
Sammy rests now. You've spoken enough.
Pa.
Jake, we'll go down and let Sammy rest.
I want to speak to you, Pa.
Must it be now?
Yes, now. I told you, and I want to tell Papa. What is it?
Ma, the doctor's here.
I thought you told him not to come. Go down, Ma. See that he doesn't come up here. I don't want to see him anymore.
Sammy.
I have nothing to say to him. He has nothing to say to me.
But, Sammy,
All he's interested in is making cases out of people. That's the way he makes a living. You're just throwing your money out by having him come here.
Doctor? Jake, a syllable.
I don't want to see you.
I'll see you both downstairs later.
Jake.
Doctor,
Jake. Pamela, I will see the doctor when he comes downstairs, Pamela. Here? Come downstairs, I'll talk to the doctor. Excuse me, Jake, please. I'll see you alone, doctor. Please.
Aren't you being a little intense about this whole thing, Sammy? I heard your tirade. If I annoy you, I just won't come again.
That'll suit me fine.
What makes you so sure of that? You know, it's not very becoming, this little play you're putting on, Sammy. The Napoleon of the bedroom. You're sick, and you're entitled to act as a sick person, but not as a sickening one.
I don't want to see you.
I heard this first time. Yes, I believe you said it. I just don't believe you mean it.
How can I convince you?
How? By getting well?
I am well. You can get out of bed tomorrow.
If you do, you'll fall down and crack the cast. You'll have to do the whole job all over again. Sammy, you should be in bed at least another week.
Why? So you can get a chance to see Sylvia every day?
Oh. So that's it. Don't you want me to see Sylvia?
No.
Why not?
Because I know what you're up to.
Oh. And what's that?
You're trying to separate us.
Oh, no. No, that's impossible for me to do. You've done that yourself. Sammy, you're 1,000,000 miles from her. 1,000,000 light years. She's on the moon and you're on Mars.
You're trying to prevent me from marrying her.
You have no right to marry her.
No one else has a better right. If I don't marry her, she'll end up... I don't know where. She said so herself. She once said she'd die if I didn't marry her. She tried to.
No, that was a couple of centuries ago. That was way back in the dark ages of her life, back in South Carolina.
You changed that, I suppose, in 2 easy lessons.
I'm civilization. I change everything. Sammy, the both of you were a pair of egotistical, selfish brutes, hurting each other for the sheer madness of it. And now you want to marry her. What for? To enjoy the luxuries of self-pity? Yes, you pity her. And that's the married life you want to hold out for her. One in which you'll live like a dog taken in from the street with her own corner and the scraps from the table.
Who told you that?
It's true.
It's not true.
Then why do you want to marry Sylvia?
None of your business.
It is my business. Sylvia is my patient, and you were too up to this minute.
I love her. I was ashamed to say so. I was ashamed of what everyone would think if I married her after all that happened. I wanted to marry her. I want to marry her more than I want to breathe. I have to. I must. I was ashamed. That's why I said I pitied her, but I don't. I love her. I love her.
The whole world of restraint falls from Sammy's face. All the defenses which people keep against the world, the barricade for the heart. He breaks down like a child. Above Sammy's bowed head, Dr. Cater's face reveals nothing of what he thinks, except an
In just a moment, X-1. But first, when you hear the hearty laugh and familiar voice of the great Gildersleeve tomorrow night, you know you're in for some hilarious adventures. Because whenever Gildy is around, somehow things never seem to go as planned. It might be his impulsive nature, Or maybe it's his incurable weakness for the fairest sex, but whatever it is, the Great Gildersleeve is bound to keep you laughing for a full 25 minutes. Tune in tomorrow night and meet Judge Hooker, Nephew Leroy, Housekeeper Bertie, and all the rest of the friendly people from Summerfield as they join the Great Gildersleeve. Now stay tuned for X-1 on NBC.
Countdown for blast-off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction, presents
X minus 1.
Tonight's story, Time and Time Again, by H. Beam Piper. It happened during a routine skirmish in the Great War. Patrols advanced from the defense perimeter under jet cover and preceded by napalm throwers. The enemy defended in depth and mopped up with guided 98s fired from 40 miles to the rear. The blast area was 10 miles in circumference, and the medics didn't find much to pick up over 500 yards in.
Come on. All right, now back it in here. Look out, it's lousy with mud. More. Now, cut left. More, hold it. Stretch it.
Come on, Travers, get those men out.
Yes, sir. Get a move on. Line them up. Come on. Easy. You want to kill them? Okay, take it away.
Left those Joes where they was. Half of them won't last till the plane comes.
As long as they're alive, they'll be treated. Get those tags out, Travers. Start taking names.
Yes, sir. This one must have been 1,000 yards in.
Get his dog tag out.
What a mess. Here. Hartley Allen, Captain G5 Chem Research, AN 73D. Number SO 23869403-J.
Hartley?
Allen Hartley.
Oh. That must be the Hartley that wrote Children of the Mist and Conqueror's Road.
Never heard of him. Major, I think maybe he's partly conscious. Had I better give him another shot?
Go ahead, Sergeant. There isn't much else we can do for him. It's a rotten shame.
Yeah, ain't it always? Okay, Captain, let me have that arm. There.
Down. Get up, Alan. Can't stay in bed all day.
I remember that. Clear as if it were real.
Up and at him. Hit the deck.
Remarkably vivid. Strange.
Alan, are you all right?
I'm all right. What's wrong with my voice? It's too high.
Well, what are you doing? Practicing singing?
My voice has changed.
Is that all? You're growing up. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday?
Hey, wake up, son. Wake up.
I am awake. It's impossible. I am awake.
Well, the way you slept through that alarm, I'd say it was impossible. Come on, out of bed.
I don't understand.
You went to bed at a decent hour. You could wake up the next morning. Come on, son. Breakfast waiting. Out of bed or I'll turn it over.
All right. It's a dream.
Maybe, but you're wide awake now.
I am. I'm awake.
Well, half awake anyway.
That's the bell at St. Boniface, isn't it? What day is it?
Are you kidding? You forget today's your birthday?
No, No, I didn't forget.
Neither did I. Here, son. Happy 13th birthday. You won't guess what's in here.
A rifle. A light .22 rifle.
Oh, now how did you know that?
I remembered.
Did I spill the beans sometime? Oh. I could have sworn it would be a surprise. Well, go on. Open it. You like it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's perfect, Dad.
Well, we'll have to lay down rules about using it. And I'll have to teach you how to operate it. I don't believe in letting a boy handle a gun till he really knows how. If I let you play with that thing before I teach you about guns, you'd blow your head off.
I suppose so.
I'll be shaving, Alan. Come down to breakfast when you're ready. Well, it's a big day today. You're almost a man.
Almost.
You're still groggy. Snap out of it, Alan.
I will. There's a dream in it somewhere, but I'm not sure which.
What?
Never mind, Dad. I'll be right down for breakfast.
What you going to do today, son?
I want to do some reading this morning.
Oh, that's always a good thing to do. After breakfast, suppose you take a walk down to the station and get me a Times.
Didn't it come?
What, the Times? Well, they don't deliver. Be a good idea, though. Maybe I'll talk to Sam Ashburn about it. Here's a $50, Alan. Get anything you want for yourself out of the change.
Thanks, Dad.
Finish your milk before you go.
Oh, sure, Dad. Thanks for the money.
You're big enough to handle it now. Hurry back. I'd like to finish the crossword puzzle before lunch.
Here you are, Alan. 1 Times. Tell your father the puzzle to stinker this week.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Ashburn.
Look out for the trucks when you cross the highway.
I'll go across Elton's lot. It's a shortcut.
Elton's? You'll have a hard time crossing there, son. There's 4 buildings on that block.
I thought they burned down.
Well, I've seen them this morning, big as life.
I guess that didn't happen yet.
What'd you say?
Nothing, Mr. Ashburn. I was just muttering.
My days, youngsters talked up.
Yes, sir. Bye, Mr. Ashburn. Monday, August 6th, 1945. Okinawa 1. Bombing Japan.
Hey, Alan.
Huh?
Alan, wait up.
Hey, Larry Morton. Hiya, Larry.
Hi, Al. You going to Sunday school?
No, I have some things I want to do at home.
Oh, get him. Fancy pants talk. Things I want to do at home.
Oh, go chase yourself around the block.
Go jump in a garbage can.
Go take a flying jet to the moon.
Hey, that's a new one. Flying jet to the moon. You thought up a new one, Al.
Yeah.
I wish I could stay home from Sunday school when I wanted to. How about us going swimming at the canoe club after?
Oh, I wish I could. I got to stay home. We're expecting company. A couple of aunts of mine. Dad wants me to stay home when they come.
Aunts are a pain.
Nothing I can do.
You see the football movie at the Grand? Boy, what a team. Notre Dame.
I thought you'd like Cornell.
Cornell? Huh. They couldn't beat Vassar.
Well, you're going to go to Cornell, aren't you?
Me, Cornell? Fat chance.
I'll bet you do.
I wouldn't take your money.
Well, I know you wouldn't, but you'll go to Cornell, all right.
Ha, Cornell. Far above Cayuga's waters, there's an awful smell.
Just the same, you'll go to Cornell. Hey, Larry, I got to go.
Well, so long, Al. I'll see you.
So long, Larry. See you.
I'm stuck in this corner. 7-letter word, a mix in proportion.
Tightrope.
Huh? Tightrope? T-I? It fits. Now, how did you know that, Alan?
That? I read it somewhere, I guess.
Oh. What you reading now? Tarzan again?
No, not Tarzan.
It's refreshing to see you with a book. Sometimes I think I ought to forbid comic books in the house. Yeah, they must be raising the devil with those bombing raids in Japan.
How long do you think the war in Japan will last, Dad?
Oh? I'd say to the middle of 1946. They'll have to invade those islands foot by foot.
I don't think so, Dad.
I wouldn't be surprised if the war was over very suddenly.
How, by magic? There isn't a thing on earth will make those Japanese surrender. You expect somebody to make a pass and it'll be all over by this afternoon?
Something like that.
I wish you could. A lot of boys dead in the invasion of Japan.
Mr. Hartley, excuse me, please.
Oh, hello, Mr. Gutchell.
That's Frank Gutchell, Dad?
That's right.
Excuse me. I didn't mean to disturb you, Mr. Hartley.
It's all right. Lovely day, isn't it, Mr. Gutchell?
Mr. Hartley, the Lord's Day is always beautiful.
Of course, Mr. Gutchell.
Mr. Hartley, I wonder if you could lend me a gun and some bullets. My little dog's been hurt, and it's been suffering something terrible.
Oh, that's too bad.
I want a gun to put the poor thing out of its pain.
Of course. Now, how would a 20-gauge shotgun do? You wouldn't want anything heavy.
I was hoping you'd let me have a little gun. Maybe, so big.
Pistol?
So I could put it in my pocket. It wouldn't look right to carry a hunting gun on the Lord's Day. And people wouldn't understand that it was for a work of mercy.
Of course, I understand. You're a very religious man.
The whole world is evil, Mr. Hartley.
Yeah, sometimes it certainly looks like it. Well, I have a Colt 38 Special from the auxiliary police outfit.
Well, that's fine.
Now, you've got to bring it right back, Mr. Gutchell. I might be called out. Now, you'll have to promise to get it right back.
Dad, wait a minute. I just remembered.
Remembered what?
Well, aren't there some cartridges left for the Luger? Then you wouldn't be without the Colt.
That's right. I have got a German automatic I could let you have. That way I wouldn't get stuck. You'd have to return it promptly, though.
Oh, wait, Dad, I'll get it. I know where the cartridges are.
Be careful, son. Well, Mr. Gutchell, it sure turned out nice. That's all.
Hello, police headquarters. This is Blake Hartley. Frank Gutchell, who lives on Campbell Street, has just borrowed a gun from me, ostensibly to shoot a dog. What? No, he has no dog. He intends shooting his wife. Now, listen, he'll walk home. If you hurry, you can get a man there on time. What? No, but I wish you'd get my pistol back to me. It's from the First World War. All right, then you'll take care of it. Goodbye.
There you are. What kept you, Alan?
I couldn't find the cartridges at first. I'll show Mr. Gutchell how it works. It's all loaded, ready to shoot. This is the safety. Just push it forward and up. There are 8 shots in it.
Did you load the chamber, Alan?
Sure, it's on safe now. You understand how it works, Mr. Gutchell?
Oh, yes, I understand. Thank you, Mr. Hartley. Thank you, Sonny. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Mr. Gutchell. Return the gun when you're done.
Yes, I'll be done with it soon. Goodbye.
Alan, you shouldn't have loaded that gun.
I guess it's all over now. I had to keep you from fooling with it. I didn't want you to see I took out the firing pin.
You what?
Gutchell didn't want that gun to shoot a dog. He's a fanatic. He sees visions, hears voices. The voices probably put him up to this. Well, I'll submit that any man who holds intimate conversations with disembodied spirits isn't to be trusted with a gun.
What are you talking about?
While I was at it, I called the police upstairs. I put a handkerchief over my mouth and told them I was you.
You? Well, why did you have to do that?
I couldn't have told them this is little Alan Hartley, 13 years old.
And suppose he really wants to shoot a dog. What kind of a mess will I be in then?
No mess. If I'm wrong, which I'm not, I'll take the rap for it. Dumb kid trick, you know. But if I'm right, you'll have to front for me. You give me a lot of cheap boy hero publicity, which I don't want.
This is crazy, Alan. This is absolutely crazy.
Maybe. We'll have the complete returns in 20 minutes.
Mr. Hartley? Mr. Blake Hartley?
That's right.
I'm Detective Sergeant Koborski from Homicide. Here's your Luger.
Thank you.
I don't know how you spotted that guy, but when we busted in, he was pointing that gun at his wife and swearing a blue streak because it wouldn't go off.
I'm glad I was able to help.
You know, they may even have some kind of a citation for you, Mr. Hartley.
I don't think that's necessary.
In the department, we figure a little publicity never hurt nobody. Even a lawyer, huh?
I really would prefer to be kept quiet.
Well, whatever you say. We'll want you to drop around in the morning for a statement.
I'll be glad to.
Well, goodbye. Goodbye, Sonny.
Goodbye, Sergeant.
Why don't you take the citation, Dad?
Well, you were right. You saved that woman's life. Now, let's see you put back the firing pin.
Sure. Here.
All right, Alan. Suppose we have a little talk.
But I explained everything.
You did not. Yesterday, you wouldn't even have known how to take this pistol apart. Today, you've been using language and expressing ideas that are outside of everything you've ever known before. Now, I want to know...
I hope you're not toying with the medieval notion of obsession.
What?
Well, you say I'm changed. When did you first notice this?
Last night, you were still my little boy. This morning, I don't know. You've been strange all day. There's been something... Alan, what's happened to you?
I wish I could be sure myself, Dad. You see, when I woke this morning, I hadn't the least recollection of anything I'd done yesterday, August 4th, 1945.
Oh, but that's serious.
You don't know how serious. My last memory was lying on a stretcher, injured by a bomb explosion. I was 43 years old, and the year was 1975.
1975? Well, that's right. You'll be 43 in 1975, but a bomb?
Yes, during the siege of Buffalo in the Third World War. I was a captain in G5, Scientific Warfare, General Staff.
Buffalo? You mean Buffalo, New York?
There'd been a transpolar invasion of Canada. I was sent to the front to check on service failures of a new lubricating oil. A week after I got there, Ottawa fell and the retreat started. We made a stand at Buffalo, and that was where I got it. I remember being picked up and getting a narcotic injection. The next thing I knew, I was in bed upstairs, and it was 1945 again. And I was back in my own 13-year-old body.
Oh, Alan, you just had a nightmare to end all nightmares, that's all.
I thought it might be that at first, but I rejected it. It won't fit the facts.
But it's ridiculous, all this Battle of Buffalo stuff. You picked up something listening to the radio. All the commentators have been going on about another war after this one. You've just got an undigested hunk of H.V. Callan born in your subconscious, that's all.
But that isn't everything. I remember 4 years of high school, 4 years at Cornell, 7 years as a reporter on the Philadelphia Record, 3 novels, Children of the Mist, Rose of Death, Conqueror's Road. You think a 13-year-old can dream up all that stuff?
But it's the only possible explanation.
Maybe, but I can speak 5 languages today that I couldn't yesterday. French, German, Chinese, Russian, and a little Spanish. Although I've got a Mexican accent you could cut with a knife.
But how did it happen? Alan, I can't believe it.
All I know is here I am. I've been reading up on time theories. Nobody seems to know much about them. Evidently, time exists parallel as another dimension, and I got kicked backwards along it.
But how?
Oh, it may have been the radiations from the bomb or the narcotic injection, or both together. But the fact remains I'm here with full knowledge of my future identity.
This is quite a shock, Alan.
But you do believe me, don't you?
Yes, I suppose I must. You seem so strange, as if you weren't my son.
I'm your son, all right. Same body as yesterday. I've just had an educational shortcut.
Wait a minute. If you can remember the next 30 years, suppose you tell me when the war is going to end. This one against the Japs, I mean.
Oh, sure. Well, the Japanese surrender will be announced at exactly 7:01 p.m. on August 14th. That's a week from Tuesday.
Week from Tuesday?
You better make sure we have plenty of grub in the house by then. Everything will be closed up tight till Thursday morning, even the restaurants. I remember we had nothing to eat in the house but some scraps.
A week from Tuesday. That's pretty sudden, isn't it?
Not after today.
What do you mean? What happened today?
Oh, plenty. Well, what time is it, Dad?
That's 11:16.
Is your watch right?
Well, to the seconds, why?
Well, it'll come at exactly 11:17:40.
What'll come?
The radio announcement.
What are you getting at? Something important on the radio? Well, we'll see.
Well, don't bother, Dad. It won't work. I remember we had a tube burned out.
Well, there is something wrong. When is this announcement of yours?
Now I remember it. I memorized it in journalism school in 1954. What time is it?
11:18 o'clock.
We're breaking into the program now. President Truman has just announced that an atomic bomb has been dropped on the Japanese industrial city of Hiroshima. The bomb was dropped 16 hours ago, and the announcement was delayed to ascertain the results of the explosion. A man named John Howard Peterson read that announcement from the Washington newsroom of NBC.
I don't believe it.
No? Well, listen. That's the Berg Platt factory whistle. And the bells of St. Boniface. Now, next the whistle at the volunteer firehouse. Then it's true. It's true. Sure. Then Larry Morton came by on his bicycle.
Hey, Al. How you hear? You hear about the bomb? An atomic bomb.
Yeah, we heard.
Boy, atomic bomb. Oh, boy. I gotta go find my pop. He's on the golf course. Bye, Al. Bye, Mr. Hartley.
You knew. You knew about it.
The next bomb hits Nagasaki.
I thought that stuff about atomic energy was so much fantasy. Was that the kind of bomb that got you?
Oh, that was a firecracker to the one that got me. It was a guided 98. Exploded 10 miles away.
And that's going to happen in 30 years?
I remember it.
How about... Well, how about me? Oh, wait. Never mind. I don't think I'd better know when I'm going to die.
I couldn't tell you anyway. I had a letter from you just before I left for the front. You were 78 then, and you were still hunting and fishing and flying your own plane.
But another war. And fought on American soil. Oh, Ellen, I wish this hadn't happened to you.
It happened. I remember it. But if I can help it, I'm not going to get killed in any battle of Buffalo.
But if you remember it, if time exists as a parallel dimension, then every tick we're getting closer to that Third World War.
Dad, you know what I remembered when Gutchell came to borrow that gun?
No, I suppose that you suspected him and warned me.
No, that wasn't it. The first time when I was really 13, I wasn't home. I'd been swimming at the canoe club with Larry Morton. When I got home about a half an hour from now, I found the house full of cops.
But if the gun didn't fire...
What makes you think it didn't? Gutchell talked the 38 out of you. He went home, shot his wife 4 times in the body, once behind the ear, and used the 6th shot to blow his own brains out.
That's what you remember?
Yes. The cops traced the gun. They took a very poor view of your lending it to him. You never got it back.
But here it is.
Oh, not the way I remember it. But I didn't want you in trouble, so I warned you. Dad, I found out the future can be changed.
One man can't change the whole future.
I stopped a murder and a suicide.
I know, but...
With 30 years to work, I can stop a world war. I'll have the means, too.
The means?
Unlimited wealth and influence. I've got a good memory, Dad. I wrote a list out this afternoon.
Assault, jet pilot, citation, ponder, middle ground. What is this, a code?
Horses. That's a list of Kentucky Derby winners from 1946 to 1970.
Huh? You sure?
Oh, I learned that list on a bet at the Officers Club in Cincinnati in 1971. Assault paid 8-1. You figure out what we can take in.
But gambling.
Oh, this isn't gambling. It's a sure thing. When we get rolling, we'll make the Rockefellers look like pikers.
Assault at 8-1.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose I could scrape up $5,000. In 10 years, that'll make a lot of money. Any other little thing you have in mind, Ellen?
Well, by 1952, we start building a political organization here in Pennsylvania. In 1960, I think we can elect you president.
President? Isn't that going a little too far?
Well, why not? Who wouldn't vote for a politician who was always right? Besides, that's the one thing we've got to change. In 1960, we had a man in the White House who was good to his wife and sang a nice tenor, and that's about all. He fouled up so completely, we ended up at war. Now, I think President Hartley might be a little more trusted to take a strong line.
But I don't know anything about international decisions.
I do. I know all the wrong ones. If we can stop one murder, we can stop a war. It's worth a try, isn't it?
I guess so. How do I start?
Well, as I remember, just after the bomb announcement, you got a phone call from the city fusion party about the next election.
There's a lot of talk about a reform ticket.
Well, that call is going to be important, Dad. It's the turning point. Now, you've got to know. There it is.
Well, what do I do?
Well, answer. Go ahead.
But...
Don't worry. I'll tell you what to do. Go ahead.
Hello? Yes, this is Blake Hartley. Judge Cribbins. Yes. Just a moment. Alan, he's asking me to run.
Oh, my head.
Alan.
Oh.
Alan, what's the matter?
Oh.
Alan. He passed out. Alan, what do I do now? Alan, listen to me. Alan. Alan, what's the matter?
Captain Hartley. Captain Hartley.
He was all right, Doctor. I gave him a shot and he was all right.
Well, he's dead.
right, Sergeant. Make out the tag. Hartley Allen, Captain. Dead April 8th, 1975.
Alan, what happened? Alan!
Huh?
Alan, are you all right?
Oh, hi, Dad.
I've got Judge Crimmins on the phone. What do I tell him?
What?
Alan, are you all right? You passed out.
Sure. I'm all right. Hey, today's my birthday, isn't it? What'd you get for my birthday, huh?
Don't you remember? The Third World War?
What Third World War? Dad, what's the matter? You're looking at me funny.
You don't remember. You're back again, aren't you? Back to 13 years old.
Sure, I'm 13 today, for corn's sake, Dad.
You must have died up there. It was only a mind transfer. That means I'm on my own. I have to do it myself without your help.
Help for what? If it's the grass, I said I'd cut it tomorrow.
No, it's not the grass. I've got to save your life, Ellen. I can't let you die that way in 1975.
What are you talking about, Dad? You sound goofy.
I've got to change it all by myself.
Change what?
Never mind, Alan. You don't know yet. Come on. Let's have lunch.
Sure, Dad, but now, how about my present now? What'd you give me for my birthday,
In a minute, son. Go on in.
Okay, well, hurry up, Dad, huh?
Sure, all right. Now, where did I put that list of horses?
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you Time and Time Again, written by H. Beam Piper and adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in the cast were Jack Grimes, Peter Fernandez, Joe DeSantis, Joseph Bell, Clark Gordon, Herm Dinkin, Dick Hamilton, and James Dukas. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production.
X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire.
Tonight, George Lefferts's original radio drama of the 21st century, Perigi's Wonderful Dolls.
The doll shop stood on a quiet Washington side street, not too far from the sprawling Pentagon building. A woman and a child waited outside, the little girl peering eagerly through the window at the dolls inside, and the woman glancing impatiently at her wristwatch, as if expecting someone who was late for an appointment. And there was nothing about the doll shop to warn them that they were waiting to keep an appointment with doom.
Oh, Mommy, look!
Yes, what is it, dear?
In the window of the shop, the tiny dolls. Oh, Mommy, do you think Daddy will buy me one?
Well, we'll ask him when he comes, dear. He said 3 o'clock on this corner.
I see him, Mommy. There he is.
Oh, Henry, here we are.
Hello, dear.
Hi.
Sorry I'm late.
Well, we've been waiting for you. Cindy's been
Yes, I'm afraid I'll have to call off the shopping, Alma.
Oh, Henry, we promised.
Yes, I know. I'm
Cindy.
sorry. It's just one of those things. You've been the wife of an Army colonel long enough to know his life isn't his own.
What is it this time?
Oh, some more of that flying sphere nonsense. The pilot who says he sighted it last month crashed and was killed today, so the general wants a full report.
Dear, what next?
Daddy.
We'll have a staff meeting at the Pentagon at 3:15.
Daddy, look in this window.
I haven't time, dear.
Just for a minute, Daddy, please.
Indeed. I haven't time to stop and watch a bunch of 6-inch dolls parading around the shop. Say, they are lifelike, aren't they? Look at that, Alma. Dolls are marching around like a regular review. They've even got their own little band.
Henry, your staff meeting.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I've got to run. Now, look, don't go spending a lot of money on that nonsense, Alma.
No, dear.
Bye.
Bye, dear.
Bye, Cindy.
Bye, Daddy. Oh, Mommy, look. Look, the band's going to play.
Aren't they wonderful, honey? You know, it's funny. I must have stood on this corner 1,000 times, and I've never even noticed this shop before.
Good evening, children.
Oh, well, good evening.
Mommy, he talks awful funny.
Hush, Cindy.
Would you like to step inside the shop of Santor Perigi?
Well, yes, we would.
This way.
Oh, Mommy, it's like there.
Here in the shop of Santor Perigi, creator of Perigi's Universal Wonderful Dolls, the world of adult reality is blended with the world of child's fantasy.
This is a new shop, isn't it, Mr. Perigi?
What is new and what is old? Come, this way. Would you like to meet one of my little ones?
Oh, yes.
This one in the red jacket is Toto. Speak, little one.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
Mommy, he talks. The doll talks.
Amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
That is nothing for Perigi's wonderful dolls. Listen, sing, Toto. Sing for the little girl.
My name is Toto.
Cindy, listen.
Sing, Toto.
Men are big and tall. Dolls are very small. When men begin to fall, the dolls will roll them all.
Oh, Lord, Toto, more. Well, how do they work, Mr. Perigi?
How do they work? That is the secret of the great Perigi, greatest of all doll masters. To make an ordinary doll is nothing. To make a perfect replica, that is something. But to make a doll with intelligence, that is the work of an artist, huh?
Well, yes. Well, they must be very expensive.
Madame, when I construct a doll like Toto, I cannot bear to be parted from him permanently. So instead of selling, I rent my little people.
You rent dolls?
Precisely. $10. I have but one request. When you grow tired of my dolls, you must return them to me in good condition.
Oh, Mommy, could we take him home?
Take him home, take him home, take him home.
Oh, look, Mommy, look. He's bowing and dancing. Oh, Mommy, he wants to come. Please, I'll take such good care of it, please.
Well, honey, we'll have to deal with your father later, but... Well...
Oh, Mommy!
All right, wrap him up, Mr. Perigi. Oh, dear, I have a feeling when your father comes home, we'll be sorry.
Be sorry, be sorry, be sorry, be sorry.
Now, Toto, my room, and you're going to sleep right here next to my pillow. Oh, Toto, don't laugh like that. I'm going to have to teach you some manners. You be quiet, because my daddy will be home soon, and he's a colonel in the army, and he'll bust you to private if you don't behave. Now, you wait here. I'm going to introduce you to my puppy dog, Mr. Blister. Be good now. Here, Blister. Here, Blister. Come on, Blister. Mr. Blister, now this is Toto. Oh, Kira, I don't think Mr. Blister likes you, Toto. Stop it, Mr. Blister. Come over here and shake hands with Toto, Mr. Blister. Come on now. Let go!
Cindy, Mr. Blister, come over here. Why, what happened, dear?
Mr. Blister tried to bite my doll. Look how frightened Toto is.
Dolls don't get frightened, Cindy.
But he is, Mommy. He screamed.
You just imagined it, honey.
But he did.
Well, Mr. Blister didn't mean it. You know he's the gentlest little pup alive.
Yes. He's nasty and I hate him.
Cindy, you hurt his feelings.
He tried to buy my new doll, and I don't ever want to see him again, ever.
Oh, dear. All right, Mr. Blister, you come downstairs with me. Come on now. Cindy's angry at you tonight.
I'll kill him.
Why, Cindy, where did you hear a thing like that?
Toto said it.
Well, I see. Well, You've had an exciting day, honey. You brush your teeth now and go to bed. Daddy's coming home late, so we'll see you in the morning. Hmm? Good night, darling. Sleep well.
I hate him, Mr. Toto. I hate him.
Morning, Alma. Breakfast ready?
Just a minute. How was the staff meeting last night, dear?
Oh, horrible bore as usual. Where's the little one?
Up in her room. She'll be down in a minute.
Oh, say, remind me to take some papers back to the War Department, will you? I left them in my strong box.
Henry, you told me it was against regulations to bring secret papers home.
Well, I had to finish some work for the old man. Nobody will ever know the difference.
Well, I suppose not. Oh, dear, would you feed the puppy before we sit down? His bowl's under the sink.
Where is he? That's funny. Here's his supper from last night, only half eaten.
He's getting fussy.
Blister? Here, Blister. Blister! Where the dickens is that mutt?
Maybe he's on the back porch.
Maybe. Here, Blister. Here, Blister. Alma.
What is it, dear?
Alma, look.
Henry. Is he?
Yes, he's dead.
But how? What happened?
From the looks of it, he might have been poisoned.
Poisoned? Who on earth would do a thing like that to an innocent little pup?
I don't know. Let's see his dish.
Oh, Henry.
I don't understand this at all. Say, what's this?
What?
Well, look, there are pieces of broken glass in his food. Blue glass.
Glass? Glass. Henry.
Huh?
Well, I just remembered something.
What?
It may just be coincidence, but in the bathroom this morning...
What about the bathroom?
Cindy's blue glass, you know, the one with the Mickey Mouse on it.
Mm-hmm.
It was broken, Henry. I found pieces in the wastebasket. I meant to ask her about it.
Oh, Alma, for heaven's sake, you aren't suggesting that our little girl... Why, she loved Blister more than anyone.
Not last night, she didn't.
Why not?
Well, he went after Toto.
Well, who's Toto?
Oh, her new doll.
You bought her one of those dolls?
Well, I just rented it.
Rented it?
Yes.
Look, Alma,
No.
Oh, well, all right. Well, what's this got to do with Blister?
He went for the doll, and Cindy... Well, Cindy said... Henry, she said she'd kill him.
What? Well, that's ridiculous.
True.
Good heavens, a 9-year-old child putting ground glass in dog food? She'd have to be a monster.
Mommy.
Now, don't say anything. I'll talk to her.
Good morning, dear.
Morning, Mommy.
Morning.
Daddy.
Hello.
What's the matter?
Nothing, Cindy. Sit down, dear.
Yes, sir.
Cindy, your mother tells me you broke your blue drinking glass.
Oh, no, I didn't break it.
Now, Cindy...
I didn't.
Well, now, somebody broke it. It wasn't your mother, and it wasn't me.
Well, then it must have been Toto.
Cynthia.
Cindy, you know Toto was only a doll. Now, a doll couldn't have broken your glass, could he? Well?
But he must have done it, Daddy.
Cindy, you know how Daddy feels about little girls who tell untruths. I'd hate to think you'd done something you knew was wrong, and you were blaming it on a doll.
What's the matter with Mr. Blister? Is he sick?
He's dead, Cindy.
Oh, no, he can't be dead. He isn't dead, Daddy. No, he isn't. He isn't. Mommy,
Yes, dear.
but he'll come back. He has to come back.
No, he won't come back, honey.
Not ever.
No, Cindy, not ever.
Now that we've told you, Cindy, you want to change your mind about the glass?
Honey, let her alone.
Daddy, you think I killed him?
See what you've done. The child feels guilty enough, Henry.
Oh, dear, this is no time for feelings to interfere.
Feelings don't really come, Henry. When they come, they just come. You go up to your room, honey. Daddy and I'll be up in just a minute.
I don't want to.
Please, Cindy. We'll be right up. Please? There, that's a good girl. And close the kitchen door behind you.
Mr. Blister's dead. And he isn't coming back. Ever.
Daddy, it was me, but it was you.
It was you!
listening to NBC Radio's award-winning science fiction series, X-1. Now we return to X-1 and Perigi's Wonderful Dolls.
Eat your supper, dear.
I'm not hungry.
Cindy, you scarcely touched your lunch.
I don't feel like eating.
Is it Mr. Blister?
Oh, Mama.
Cindy, answer your mother.
Oh, Henry, she'll work it out in her own way, dear.
Oh, I don't know. When I was a boy, there was such a thing as discipline. Where this child is being brought up...
Henry.
Well, it's true. There's no respect. Lying. Oh, I don't know. Alma, what's happened to us? We were a nice, peaceful, happy family until you bought that cursed doll.
Now who's blaming things on the doll?
Well, it's true.
Henry. You wanted to get some papers from your strongbox.
What? Oh, yes. Excuse me.
Will you try to eat something, Cindy? Now, darling.
Yes, miss.
Alma. Alma.
Yes, Henry, what is it?
Alma, it's gone.
What's gone?
The box, the strong box is gone.
But it can't be. The door to your study's always locked, and you and I have the only key.
I know all that, and I tell you it isn't there.
Well, who would...
I don't know, Alma. Those confidential reports, if they ever get into the wrong hands...
Oh, I warned you about keeping them here.
What if it ever came out in the open? Can't you see the papers? Army colonel, derelict in duty.
Call the police, Henry.
What, and throw my career in the wastebasket after 17 years? Well, we've got to find it ourselves.
But it was there when I went in to clean this morning.
Well, what about your key?
Well, it's right here. I always keep it right with me. That's funny.
Oh, no.
But my other keys are all on the ring.
You've lost it.
I don't see how.
Alma, how could you do it?
Henry, please.
Come on, we'll search the house. I can't think of anything else to do.
Oh, dear, you're going to miss your staff meeting.
Well, all right, never mind the meeting. My whole career goes up in smoke if we don't find those reports. Now, somebody get hold of your key and open that room. I know, Cindy.
Oh, let the child alone. She's been through enough. You know she wouldn't do a thing like that.
I don't know anything anymore. I don't know my own child. I don't even know you.
Henry.
All I know is that strongbox is gone with papers that are dynamite if the wrong person gets them. The question being who? What's that?
Coming from upstairs.
Doodle, kill him. How do you do?
Stop it.
How do you do?
Blasted little imp! There.
Henry.
But since we've got this thing...
Henry.
What?
Look.
Where? What?
Around the doll's neck. The key. The key to your study.
It was Cindy, after all.
I don't believe it.
Ever since she got this fool doll, she's been acting half insane. First the dog, now this. I think she hates us, Alma.
Henry, Cindy is my child, and I know her. I know she's a good, sensitive little person with no malice in her.
You're just simply refusing to face the facts, dear.
What are you going to do?
I'm going downstairs and have a talk with that young lady. Cindy, you're not telling me the truth.
Oh, yes, I am, Daddy.
Now, all I'm asking is that you tell me the truth. Now, where is it?
I didn't take it, Daddy. Honest, I didn't take it.
I suppose you're going to tell me now that a little 6-inch doll took my strongbox and hid it. Well? Cindy, I'm speaking to you.
I didn't take it, Daddy. You don't understand. Toto did it. Oh, he's terrible awful. He says things. He says he's going to kill everybody.
Oh, Cindy, you're inventing things.
It's true. At night when I'm sleeping, he stands next to my pillow and whispers things to me. Awful things. He told me he'd kill me, too, if I told him.
Alma, I think this child is sick. I think she needs a doctor.
Frightened, Henry. She's trembling like a leaf. Come on, darling. We'll go up to your room.
I don't want to
no,
go up
honey,
there.
Mommy will stay with you.
I'm afraid. He's up there.
Who, Cindy?
Toto.
Well, he won't be up there for long. Mr. Toto is going right back to Perigi's wonderful doll shop before I lose my sanity, which means right now.
Ah, Colonel Grayson. Welcome to the home of Perigi's wonderful doll.
Are you Perigi?
Santor Perigi, creator of the universal doll. The doll with the mind. The doll
Yes,
with...
well, I'm returning one of your masterpieces.
Oh? If you will step into the rear of my shop. Now, what is the complaint?
There's no complaint. Here's your doll. Good riddance.
My little Toto, rejected, you found the world of men too filled with hate. We will change all that later on. Return to your comrades in the window, little one. And now, Colonel Grayson?
I think we have no further business, sir.
Ah, but we do, Colonel. Let me see. Here it is. Do you recognize this, Colonel?
That's my strong box. Quit.
My little Toto is very clever, sir.
Are you trying to tell me your doll stole that from me?
Let us not say stole. I'm merely keeping it in custody.
What's your game, Perigi?
Blackmail. You give me what I want, I do not ruin your career.
What do you want?
Information. We already know something from the reports of the War Department, reported by one of your pilots.
What government do you represent?
I represent Perigi's wonderful dolls, none other.
I'm not so naive, sir.
Perhaps I should explain. Each man hides something from the world. Each man loves something more than life. With the help of my wonderful dolls, I obtain personal information which enables me to control the men who control the world. Men like you.
Hand over that strong box.
I warn you, I have a gun.
Give it to me.
You are being foolish. Put down that walking stick.
Now.
No closer.
Now. Hello. Give me the police. Hello. This is Colonel Henry Grayson. I've just killed a man. Perigi's doll shop, corner of 4th and Lexington. The body is in the rear. I'll wait for you. Shut up. Shut up, you little fiend!
Colonel Grayson!
Did I hear you speak?
Colonel Henry Grayson!
Well, it can't be. I must be going out of my mind. A 6-inch doll. Shut up! Your master's dead!
You are mistaken, Colonel. I, Toto, am the master.
What do you mean?
If you will examine the body of Santo Perigi, you will see that he does not bleed. And he does not bleed, Colonel, because Santo Perigi never lived.
Never lived?
Santo Perigi is a doll.
A doll? But he's a man. He talks. He walks.
The people of Meritrix are skillful doll builders.
Meritrix? Doll builder? Who are you?
I am Xanthus Imperator, commander of the legions of the 3rd planetoid, Meritrix.
Legions? Planetoid?
My people and I, whom you regard as dolls, come from a tiny planet beyond the moon.
What?
So small that it cannot support our population.
That's true.
We landed one of our space spheres on Earth 3 months ago with the intention of colonizing. Unfortunately, one of your pilots intercepted us.
So that's why you wanted our information.
Precisely.
And you are human?
Quite human. Of course, in order to deal with Earth people without suspicion, we were forced to construct Perigi, a man-sized doll.
No, it can't be. I can't believe this. I'm having hallucinations. I've got to get out of here.
That will be impossible. We have weapons of destruction quite unknown to Earth people.
I phoned the police. I'll be here soon.
By the time they arrive, my people will have prepared something quite shocking.
Keep me covered, Brian.
Okay, Sarge.
All right. You the guy who turned in the call?
Yes, that's right, Sergeant.
Where's the body?
Well, you see, it isn't exactly a body.
What do you mean?
It's a doll.
What?
Now, wait, you've got to let me explain. I know this sounds fantastic, but I've stumbled onto an unbelievable plot.
Yeah? Keep talking.
Well, you see, these little dolls, they aren't really dolls. They're tiny people. Now, there's a big doll named Santo Perigi. They're using him as a front to run this shop.
He's off his trolley, Sarge.
Now, look here.
Now, listen, mister, we got to call it. There was a murder here. Now, if there was one, where is the body?
Well, it's behind the curtains in the back. Only, you see, it isn't really a body. It's a big wax dummy. It's all part of their plot to gain control of the world.
Holy smoke, he's really off his rocker.
Now, look, if you don't believe me, I'll prove it to you. Come here. Look behind this curtain and you'll see the dummy lying on the floor.
Welcome, gentlemen. Are you looking for something?
Perigi. This is impossible. I smashed his skull.
Do you know this guy?
That's the one, the doll.
What's your name, mister?
Perigi, Dr. Perigi, creator of the Universal Doll.
Uh-huh. You ever see this man?
Never until just now.
That's not true. He's lying. I tell you, he's nothing but a big doll. The real masters are the little dolls.
Ryan, are you getting this?
He's wacko, Sarge. No, he's a fruitcake. I'm not crazy, I tell you. I can prove it. They must have fixed up his head where I smashed it in. Touch him and you'll see.
Mr. Perigi, you know what this guy is talking about?
The man is demented, obviously.
No, that's not true. I tell you, there's a plot to control the Earth. I've got to call the War Department. They want to know about the flying sphere.
Holy mackerel, this gets worse every minute. Ryan.
Take him to headquarters.
No, save some time. Take him down to Psycho Ward.
Okay, all right, Buck. Just come along nice and quiet. No, don't you see? He's nothing but a man-sized doll. I'm sure the little ones are going to take over the Earth, and you'll go and wait and cut out some... Listen to me. You've got to...
Sorry you had all this trouble, Mr. Perigi.
Poor chap. He is obviously suffering from delusion.
Well, he's not the only one in Washington today. You know, we've been getting a whole string of crack-ups lately. Bigwigs blowing their tops under pressure. If you could see some of the names in our confidential files.
You keep confidential files on cases like this?
Certainly. Believe me, they'd be dynamite if they ever got in the wrong hands. Well, I'd better be running along. My little girl would be nuts for that.
So? Then please accept the doll for saving my life. That madman might have killed me.
Yes, but
Take Toto home with you as a gift.
Well, now, I don't know, Mr. Perigi. It's against regulations for us to accept favors.
But this is not for you. It is for your little daughter. And if you will only take the doll and give him a good home, you will be doing me a great favor.
Well, then, if you insist, and thanks very much. When my kid sees this, will she be surprised?
Yes, Toto will come as a great surprise. A very great surprise. Eh, Toto?
This was from the world of X-1. Tonight's story, Perigi's Wonderful Dolls, an original drama written for NBC Radio by George Lefferts. Featured in the cast were Denise Alexander, Joan Alexander, Les Damon, Joe DeSantis, and Leon Janney as the doll Toto. Music by Al Behrman, narration by Norman Rose. Tonight's program was directed by Edward King, executive producer Robert Wogan.
Hollywood, California. That may seem a strange place to learn anything about the Magic Island, but Hollywood is the scene of our story for today. The Euclidean Girl submarine commander has landed her rocket plane safely on Lake Hollywood in a fog. The plane was allowed to sink slightly below the surface, so it might not be discovered until our friends want it again. Mrs. Gregory's home is now a busy place, with plans being rushed for the expedition to capture Euclidia. However, it looks as if things are not going any too well. We see Captain Tex Bradford, Mrs. Gregory, and their right-hand man, Johnson, talking in the Gregory home. They're in the small room which Captain Bradford uses as his chemical laboratory.
But, Tex, it simply won't do any good.
Even if it looks that way, we've got to keep trying. I agree with the captain, Mrs. Gregory. We must compound as much of the captain's formula as possible in a short space of time, then continue our plans to return to Euclidia.
But, Johnson, what good will that do? Elaine has admitted that the submarine locks on that underwater city can't possibly stay magnetized more than a day or two at the most. Now, I've chartered the fastest private steamer on the West Coast, but it will take a full week to arrive at the location of the Magic Island.
I know all that, Pat, and I may be wasting my time. But we can't hope to take that place over with anything but this formula. And I've made up a lot of it.
Is it ready now, Tex?
Yes, there's enough of this liquid ready to destroy every inch of Euclidia.
Well, just how are you going to use it, Captain?
We haven't had a chance to explain it to you, Johnson. But there's a small steel room, sort of an airlock, way up inside one edge of the crater of that old volcano. If we release this formula there, it will eat its way down into the underwater city and promptly flood the whole place.
However, Johnson, don't think that we intend to shut all of those people up in that place and flood them.
I've chartered this steamer to take them all off that location.
Well, of course you don't want to harm them if you can help it. And it would be too bad if all of those great scientific minds were lost to the world. But what are you going to do with them? You can't just bring them back and turn them loose in this country.
We don't intend to. Pat has been out calling on some of her influential friends. And I believe raised enough money to put over a very ambitious plan. Is that right, Pat?
Yes, Tex. I had no trouble at all raising the money. We've decided to take over the buildings and grounds of a little private college near here. The property was for sale, and we really got it at a very reasonable figure. Now, I propose to establish those Euclideans on that property, under constant guard, of course, and let them work on their inventions.
See, that's a great idea, Mrs. Gregory. Their knowledge can be used for benefit to the world, without the danger of their using their power in the wrong direction.
Yes, that's my idea.
I hope it works out all right.
Well, now, as I understand it, this girl submarine commander who brought you home, she left the Euclidean submarine locks magnetized.
Yes, and while they stay that way, the Euclideans are helpless.
But just how long will the magnetism remain effective?
That's our trouble. Elaine, the girl commander, said that we couldn't hope for more than 24 hours.
It will take a week at least to get down there with a steamer large enough to take them all off.
And there are over 250 Euclideans.
Yes, and if we don't have something ready to replace that magnetism, Euclidia will be empty in 24 hours. G-47 will lead his men out of there. They'll establish another colony at some other place.
Well, if I didn't know you so well, I'd say it was hopeless. But I know that you haven't worked all night compounding this formula for nothing.
You're right, I haven't.
But, Tex, I can't see where we have the slightest chance to use that formula.
Well, that girl commander will be here in a few minutes. She has an idea. Must be a wild one, as there's only time for a wild one to help us any. But whatever it is, she says it will work, and I'm going to listen to it.
Does she know how to find this room?
I told her we'd meet her in the living room. She ought to be back any minute now.
I told them to hurry. But Jerry and Joan may be having trouble with her.
Trouble? Well, if she's not trustworthy, why did you let Jerry and Joan go out with her?
Oh, not that sort of trouble, Johnson. Jerry and Joan are taking Elaine on her first visit to a real store. And they may have trouble getting her out of there.
Well, I wouldn't call that very serious.
It wouldn't be if we had any time to spare. But as it is, it can be mighty serious if that girl doesn't get back here soon with her idea.
Is it safe to leave your formula here while we go into the living room?
Oh, perfectly safe.
Well, I'll stay here and watch if you want me to.
Oh, never mind. You'd better be with us when Elaine outlines her idea.
Yes, there may be a part in it for you.
Well, I certainly hope so. It's not very exciting to sit at home with a radio set and let you have all the experiences.
Maybe not, Johnson. But you've saved us a couple of times by that very same sitting at home. Who's there?
It's Jerry.
Okay, Jerry, just a minute.
Oh, that means they're safely home.
Come on in, kid.
Gee, what goes on? You got this place all locked up.
Well, we just finished my, wait a minute. Joan and the girl commander with you?
Well, we came back together. They're waiting in the living room.
Did you have any trouble getting Elaine out of the stores?
She was walking in her sleep.
Why, Jerry,
Sorry, Pat, but I'll have to interrupt this now. Let's get on with this idea. Time is precious now.
Oh, of course, Tex. Come on, Jerry. You and I'll go into the living room. Tex and Johnson will follow as soon as they lock up the laboratory.
And while you're there, make sure we're alone.
I will. I'll send the servants away on some errands.
Oh, Joan's already done that, Mrs. Gregory.
Joan has?
Yes. She figured you might want some privacy, so she thought up a lot of silly things for them to do, and they started doing them.
Well, good for Joan. She'll soon be able to manage this home as well as I do.
Were you speaking of me, Mother?
Yes, Joan, dear. Jerry tells me you've guaranteed our privacy for a while.
I thought it advisable. Elaine has told me something of her plan, and it seemed wise to discuss it where we could not be overheard.
I did advise Joan to exercise all caution. This plan of mine has elements of danger in it.
Oh, you're all too nervous about this thing. There's no more Euclideans in Hollywood.
You do not know that.
No, Jerry. We know very little about the Euclideans.
It is as well to use care. Where is Captain Bradford?
Oh, he'll be here in a minute or two. He's with Johnson, locking up the laboratory. And while we're waiting for them, tell me something about your visit to the stores.
It was very exciting.
Boy, it must have been. All you did was stand around in front of counters and hold a lot of cloth and ribbons in your hand.
It was the first time I have ever felt such fabric.
Of course, Elaine. I can understand how you felt.
Elaine would not purchase anything, Mother. I tried to persuade her to bring home a dress or a coat or something for herself, but she refused.
Why was that, Elaine?
Oh, she figured that she didn't want to spend any of your money, and Joan and I couldn't talk her out of it.
I hope you will understand my position, Mrs. Gregory. You are more than kind in giving me the freedom of your lovely home. I should prefer to wait until our mission is accomplished. Then I may feel that I have rendered some little service to you.
Mother, I have tried to reason with Elaine, but it is without effect. She feels that she must earn your money before she can accept any of it.
I am sorry if that is not correct for your world.
Well, it's correct for anybody's world. But I never heard of anybody worrying so much about taking money before.
It is unusual, Jerry, but Elaine is right. And I appreciate how she feels. We'll fix that later.
Come right on in, Johnson. I see everybody's here. We'll get right down to business.
If you'll sit over here, Johnson.
Thank you.
I'll sit here by the door and leave it open. All right, Elaine? What's the idea?
Your formula is complete.
Ready to go.
Is it possible to suspend your containers in the water?
Sure, if the depth isn't too great. The containers are naturally made of glass, so that they may be broken and allow the halves of the formula to run together.
Oh, yeah, but that stuff won't be much good underwater. That is, it would get too weak to do any good.
That's right, Jerry. The only way it could be used underwater would be to suspend it against some metallic substance it would eat through before dilution became too great.
That is my idea. If my calculations are correct, we have less than 6 hours of safety. At any time after that, the Euclideans may succeed in freeing those submarine locks of the magnetism I imposed.
6 hours? Why, we can't get down there in less than 6 days.
But wait until you hear Elaine's plan, Mother.
Well, let's have it, Elaine. 6 hours sounds mighty short to me.
You and I will return to Euclidia at once in the rocket plane, Captain Bradford.
Hey, what about the rest of us?
You will follow in the boat which is to return the Euclideans to this country.
Oh, I hate to think of you running into danger while we sit safely on a big boat.
Well, if Elaine has it figured out, let's have it all. There must be some reason for just 2 of us going.
There is a good and sufficient reason. In the first place, the rocket plane was badly overloaded coming up here, and the fuel is running low. With only 2 of us aboard, we have a chance to reach the location of Euclidia.
That sounds reasonable.
Sounds dangerous, too, if you think you've only got a chance to land there.
I don't like that.
I would prefer to accompany them, Mother, but I believe Elaine knows best.
Well, go on, Elaine. What's your plan?
You and I will go at once, Captain. We will have fuel enough to reach there, I think, and provisions for at least a week. All we have to do is suspend containers of your formula against the submarine locks and on top of the escape lock we use, and float there on the surface until the boat arrives.
You know, I could be a lot of help if I went along.
Possibly, and your weight might be the deciding factor if we run out of fuel short of our goal.
But, Elaine, suppose you do run out of fuel anyway and have to land before you reach Euclidia.
We'll just land on the course. You'll follow with the boat, float around there until you come down and pick us up. The Euclideans will escape, but we can't help that.
I think their escape is not as serious as what they would do to you if they found you floating helplessly on the water.
Gee, I never thought of that.
I did, Jerry, and it isn't a pleasant thought.
We have no alternative if we ever hope to capture those scientists.
That's right, Elaine. If they get away from us this time, they'll destroy that city as they leave, and move to some other out-of-the-way place and start another colony.
In addition to which they will do immeasurable harm in this world.
Yes. Their motives for revenge would lead them into almost anything.
Well, it looks like Elaine's plan is the only one. But I wish I could go along.
So do I, Jerry. I've stayed at home long enough through all of this excitement.
Sorry, Johnson, but we'll have to leave you again. This time, however, you will have Mrs. Gregory, Jerry, and Joan to take care of, and you'll be in charge of the rescue boat.
Well, that'll help some.
And we will make the trip in our boat as rapidly as possible.
I'll say we will.
How long will it take to raise that plane of yours, Elaine?
Only a matter of moments. I will make a short dive under the water and turn on the exposed helium valve. The shell will be reinflated and the ship will rise rapidly.
But it's broad daylight. We'll be seen at Lake Hollywood.
I know it, but there isn't a thing in the world we can do about it. Elaine says we haven't more than 6 hours.
I am sure the Euclideans will be free shortly after that time.
And it will take us a little over 4 hours to fly down there. Let's go.
Well, now, what do we do?
You get the formula, all of it except one set of containers, which you can bring on the boat with you.
Can I do anything, Captain?
Help Johnson load that stuff in the car and keep your eyes open in the driveway.
Aye, sir. Come on, Johnson.
Right with you, Jerry.
What can I do, Ted?
You and Joan get some warm clothes ready for Elaine. We're going to need them, for we've got a lot of diving to do.
I wish I might go with you, Captain.
I know that, Joan. You and Jerry's been a big help plenty of times, but I'll have to go this time without you.
You'll keep in touch with us, won't you, Tex?
Why, sure. The minute we land at Euclidia, we'll radio you. And you'd better shove off with that boat the minute we leave.
I'll call the crew to stand by right now. They're all waiting for the call.
Well, it looks like this is our last try at capturing G-47. And with a little luck, we'll make it.
One of the most peaceful spots in the Hollywood Hills is that surrounding Lake Hollywood. Yet at this minute, there is a fierce activity on the shore of the lake, which would certainly make a stranger think some weird country was landing machines of war in our very midst. The Euclidean rocket plane, which brought the Gregory party of 7 and the girl submarine commander safely back to Los Angeles, has been refloated on the surface of the lake. Preparations are underway for an immediate takeoff. Captain Tex Bradford and Elaine, the girl Euclidean commander, are going to make a dash back to Euclidia. Jerry Hall and Joan Gregory are helping them with their last-minute plans.
Are you sure you've got everything, Tex?
Everything we have time to worry about.
The plane does not seem to be buoyant enough to rise from the water.
I was wondering about that, Joan.
How about it, Elaine?
I'm nearly ready, Captain Bradford. The task of driving the water from the outer shell has been slower than usual, due to the necessity of watching the rise closely. In flooding and then re-raising the ship, all from the outside, as we have done this time, it must be done slowly, as the plane could easily leap from the water and float beyond our reach if I admitted too much helium.
Well, golly whiskers. Who ever heard of a leaping plane?
This rocket ship would do exactly that, Jerry.
Yeah, I guess it would.
That should be sufficient gas. Will you watch the stern, Captain Bradford?
Right, Elaine. It's coming up pretty fast.
That will be all.
This thing is sure ready to jump into the air now.
And we're about ready to jump with it.
Captain Bradford.
Yes, Joan?
I believe we are observed.
Huh? Where?
On that highway above us.
Yes, we are, and that means we'd better get out of here quick. We don't want to answer any questions right now.
The plane is ready. We can take off now in a matter of 100 seconds.
Well, why so long?
That much time will be required to distribute the first charge of fuel to the gas jets.
Okay, Elaine, turn them on. That car's stopping up there, and a couple of mighty businesslike fellows are pouring out of it.
The tanks are now charging.
Yeah, and these two fellows from the car are charging, too.
Oh, Jerry, we are being attacked.
Attacked? What do you mean, attacked?
One of those men is carrying a weapon in a black case.
A weapon? Yeah, it's a weapon, all right, Joan, but it isn't very dangerous, except for getting our pictures in the paper.
Well, that's bad enough right now.
Yes, it is at that.
Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. You and the skipper pile in and shove off. Joan and I'll get our pictures taken and keep these boys away from you.
Excellent plan, Jerry. Come, Captain.
Right. Go ahead, Elaine. We'll give the last-minute instructions to the kids here.
Hurry, Captain. Those men are nearly upon us.
You two let them question you all you want to, but don't tell them who you are. Don't give them any information. We've got to have 4 hours to get back to Euclidia before anyone finds out about it.
Hey, they'll get the license number of Mrs. Gregory's car.
No, they won't. I took the plates off, and the registration slip is at the house.
Well, we're liable to get caught by the cops on the way back to the house.
We will be arrested.
Possibly. They have a habit of arresting people without license numbers or registration slips. But just to make it sure, Jerry, you might go a little too fast at the wrong time.
Oh, I got it.
Remind them that they are not to attempt to contact us by radio until we call them.
Why is that, Captain?
We don't want those Euclideans to know we're on our way. It might make them take chances getting out of that underwater city before we can bottle them up.
I got you. Better shove off, Tex. Here they come.
Right. Ready, Elaine?
Ready.
So long, kids.
Good luck, Tex.
Goodbye, Captain and Elaine.
Remember, Joan, we don't know what's happening.
I couldn't even get set for a picture of that thing.
You know best, Jerry. This is a situation entirely strange to me.
Me too, but I think I'm going to like it.
Hey, you two kids, what's going on here? Who was that just took off? And where did that flying submarine come from?
How should I know?
I never saw anything leave so fast but last week's pay. That thing was out of sight before I could get a decent picture of it.
Why should you want a picture of it?
What do you think?
Jerry, what do I think?
You think it's none of his business?
I think it's none of your business.
Say, what is this?
We don't know.
You just saw that flying dill pickle jump off the briny deep, didn't you?
We didn't see anything, did we, Joan?
No, Jerry.
Wait a minute. I'm beginning to get an idea. Move around where the light's better. I'll try to get you a picture of it so you can prove it to the editor. Save the comedy. I've got an idea who these two are. So have I. They're Jack and Jill. They just come down the hill to fill their little pails of water.
Oh, no, we're not.
You bet you're not. You're Jerry Hall and Joan Gregory.
Oh, Jerry.
Hold it.
You're right, Pete. Sure I'm right. These are the two kids who just got back from the Magic Island. Why, that thing was blown up by a volcano weeks ago. Oh, no, it wasn't.
I had a hunch that volcano story was a phony.
Well, go right ahead and have all the hunches you want. We won't tell you a thing.
You're Joan Gregory, aren't you? The little girl who was lost 14 years on that island.
I do not understand you.
You're talking to yourself, Pete. Maybe, but I'll bet you two understand this. Captain Tex Bradford just took off from this lake in some sort of a wild flying contraption. He's on his way back to that screwy place you call the Magic Island. He was in a hurry. He didn't want anyone to know what he was doing. That's all the story I need. Come on, Fuzzy.
Wait till I take a couple of shots of these two.
Okay, but make it snappy. This is one story that'll look better without any of your comic strips.
You never wrote a story that could get along without my pictures.
One's enough. Come on.
Come on, Joan. We've got business.
Where, Jerry?
I'll tell you after we get going.
Don't hurry, you two. You can read the story when you get back home if you take your time.
Jerry, that man will ruin everything.
He might, if his story got out in time.
Oh, but nothing can prevent that.
Well, I've got other ideas. Just get in your mother's car as fast as you can.
But they are going to their own car. They will have that story all over the city in a few minutes.
Maybe and maybe not. Now hurry up and get into the car and don't stop to argue.
Very well, Jerry.
Well, I haven't been up and on this road for a couple of years, but if they haven't changed it any, we're all right.
Those men are hurrying to their car, too, Jerry. They will reach the highway before we do.
Maybe not. You watch them and tell me which way they go, and I'll see how quickly I can get us out of this.
Oh, Jerry, these curves are dangerous.
Nothing is dangerous to you, Euclidean. Now take it easy.
Well, I will try.
Just let me drive this car and keep your eyes on those two in the other car.
They are going up a winding drive, almost opposite to the direction we have taken.
Did they turn to their right as they started up the hill?
Yes, they did.
Swam. Hang on tight, Joan. We'll see if this car of your mother's is as good as it looks.
Jerry, please be careful.
We're still on the road.
But you go so fast around those turns.
Those other fellows are going pretty near as fast, only they've got farther to go. Now, if I can beat them to the top of this hill, we're all right.
But what good will that do?
You'll see when we get there. I mean, if we get there.
You are being very foolish, Jerry.
Sure I am. But Captain Bradford and Elaine are flying 1,000 miles an hour, trying to get to Euclidia before G47 knows they're coming. And if these men get that story to their newspapers, it'll be on the radio in half an hour, and G47 will know all about it.
I know that, Jerry. But how can you prevent it?
Well, just give me a few seconds to get around this next turn on the top of this hill, and I'll tell you.
Oh, Jerry, did you not see that notice at the top of this drive?
Oh, sure I saw it.
But you are going down a one-way drive. It is wrong to go down this way.
Oh, I know it. And I'm going to stop going, right in that narrow place just ahead of us. Hang on while I skid this car straight across the road.
But that will block the road.
I hope you're right, Joan. Hang on tight. Well, we're here.
Yes, Jerry, we are here. And we are helplessly stopped. It will not be possible to move this car now. There is no room to go forward or backward.
And if you noticed it, it's going to be mighty hard for another car to get around us, too.
That does not better our position.
Maybe not, but it won't hurt Captain Bradford's position any.
Jerry, you are going to compel that car to stop.
You bet I am. Here they come now. And look at their faces.
They have seen us.
Sure they have. And do they look mad?
But what will they do to us?
Nothing. I had an accident with a car. It got stuck across the road. And if that keeps a couple of wild men from running to their papers with our story, well, I can't help it.
Hey, get that thing out of the way.
They are very angry, Jerry.
I had an idea they might be.
Don't you know this is a one-way road?
Never heard of it.
Jerry, could they not back their car down and go around the other way?
Well, that's what I was afraid of. They'd do. But luck's on our side now. There's another car coming up behind.
And the people in that other car will be angry also.
Oh, guess they will. But if enough cars pile up on this road, we'll manage to keep our friends here for a while.
Hey, you two lunkheads, what's the idea?
Sorry, mister. I guess I started down the wrong road.
You know, blame well you did.
Well, you can see where I skidded. trying to turn it around and get out of your way.
I can see where you skidded all right, but those tire tracks don't say anything about trying to get out of our way.
Looks more like you deliberately skidded your car across this road to block it.
Oh, no, that's against the law. I wouldn't do anything like that.
No, I'll bet you wouldn't.
There is another car down there now, Jerry.
Yeah. Well, why don't you fellows get your car out of the way so these boys can get past?
Why, you young... If I wouldn't like to wring your neck.
Huh? Go ahead.
No, I'll save the pleasure. Just now I want you to get this car out of here.
Well, I can't do that. You know I can't.
You going to leave it here all night?
Oh, no. I'm going to walk to Hollywood and telephone a garage to come and get it with a wrecking truck. Well, they can drag it around on the road.
And I suppose the cars that will pile up here on this hill can just pile up and exercise their horns while you and the girlfriend stroll down to Hollywood.
Oh, that's right.
Jerry, is this not a police officer coming?
Sounds like it.
Looks like it, too. And when he gets here, you move out of the way.
Oh, I don't think he can pull this car out with that motorcycle.
Oh, Jerry, what will the officer do to us?
I hope he takes us to jail. If he does, we can't phone a garage to come after this car, and our nice friends here can wait a while longer.
You're going to get plenty of action, Jerry, my boy, and you're going to get it right now.
Rogers in the 25th century.
And the shower of silver dollars from Popsicle Pete's Money Box.
Thrilling adventures of Buck Rogers have taken us far away from the amazing super scientific world of the 25th century, far out into the great void of outer space. For Buck, Wilma, and Dr. Huey, you remember, are hot on the trail of the arch criminals, Killer Kane and Ardela, flying at top speed in their rocket planes toward the far-off planet Pluto. But the ship being used by the two criminals is identical with that of our friends, and that means that... But wait. Let's pick up our story in the control cabin of Buck's spacecraft. Here we go, 500 years into the future.
Wilma, can you still see Kane's ship on the viewplate of the teleradioscope?
No, Buck. Either there's too much cosmic dust in the way or they've gained on us.
We're still automatically following them, though, Buck.
Yes, Doctor?
Gas analyzer's picking up a clear trail of rocket gas.
Good. But now, look here on this sky chart.
Yes, Buck?
This proves what I've suspected.
Oh, you've plotted our course on it.
Yes, sir. Wilma, the two criminals are headed for one of the black planets.
Oh.
Or I should say planetoids that lie out near the orbit of Pluto.
Good night.
Yes, sir. Not so good.
Buck, you and Wilma were out there among those black planetoids once before.
Yes, sir.
And according to your reports about them, they're composed of a substance that absorbs light to such a degree that it reflects none.
In other words, Doctor, they're practically invisible. Unless you get them between the sun and yourself, you can't see them at all.
Even then, they just look like a dark blur against the glare of the sunlight.
And I take it that there's grave danger of running into one of them before you can even see it.
Not only that, but if you get close to one of them, its terrific pull of gravity is likely to make you crash on it.
I see.
But the real danger is not in the planetoids themselves.
No?
No, sir. Didn't you see the pictures I had taken with a telemagnetic recorder camera?
Of the gigantic bird?
Yes, Doctor. Space birds flying all around out there.
Yes, that's right. Well, we have the protection of our long-range disintegrator.
Oh, just the same. If a couple of dozen of them hove into sight, we'd have a pretty hot time on our hands. Doctor, some of those birds must have a wingspan of 300 or 400 feet.
Oh, what?
That's right, sir. The only reason we took pictures of them was because we knew it was the only way you'd believe us.
Their power of flying around in space is what I can't understand. You know, without air to flap their wings against.
Wasn't there anything to indicate how they propel themselves?
Only little streams of fire coming from the tips and edges of their wings.
How can they breathe in the vacuum of outer space?
We're flying around in space and managing to breathe without any difficulty, aren't we?
Sure, but we're inside the hull of a rocket plane with a mechanical system to supply air for us.
Isn't it just as logical to conclude that in the case of the gigantic bird, all Mother Nature has made the same sort of provision that we've had to make scientifically and mechanically?
Well, maybe so.
Wait, look.
Huh?
I can see Kane's ship on the teleradioscope again, and we're gaining on it.
Kidding.
Well, yes, I believe you're right, Wilma.
I'm sure of it. But I don't see why, the two ships being exactly the same.
It's because Buck polished the stern of the ship by turning on the heat ray.
Yes, sir. By making a shiny surface of it, the rays of the sun, millions of miles in back of us, reflect on it and actually help to push us along.
It doesn't seem possible.
It wouldn't be possible except in this vacuum out here. But we're certainly gaining on Kane.
Okay. Well, if it's humanly possible, we've got to prevent those two from reaching one of the black planetoids. Not only because they could hide from us so easily, but because of the danger in navigation.
That's all right if we can catch up with
I'm
them
not sure that we'll be able to. So listen.
You're going to radio to Kane?
Yeah. Calling Killer Kane. Buck Rogers calling Killer Kane.
What are you going to say to him?
Well, Rogers, how's my old friend?
Never mind that, Kane. We have more important things to talk about.
I can't imagine anything important that I'd have to talk about with you.
Kane, ever since you took off from Enceladus, we've been on your trail. What's more, we have a rocket plane that's just a little bit faster than yours.
You think so?
I'm sure of it. That means that in a very short time now, we'll overtake you. In other words, if you stop and think about it, the only sensible thing for you to do is to head back for Earth.
Oh, I see. That ship of yours is running low on fuel, and you're getting worried about whether you'll be able to keep up with us much longer.
Not a bit of it. The whole thing is simply that we're bound to get you sooner or later. And you may as well save yourself as much trouble as possible.
Listen, Rogers. The ship you're in is identical in every respect with this one. Same size, same streamlining, same rocket projectors, same everything. You'll never catch up with us, and you know it.
That's so? Well, suppose you look back and see how much we've gained on you just in the short time we've been talking by radio.
Oh. Rogers, I want to tell you something.
Well?
If by any chance you should catch up with us, you'll never take us alive.
Heroics, Kane. Forget them and think it over.
Why, you...
Well?
No, Buck, he'll fight to the bitter end. I only hope that he doesn't realize what's given our ship the greatest speed and do it himself.
No, I don't think so. Look.
Huh?
Something black is stringing out the stern of his ship.
Yes, I see.
Yes. I wonder what it could be.
So the continuous maximum flow of power from his rocket tubes is jammed.
It isn't coming out of the tubes, Wilma.
Focus the teleradioscope closely to bring out its tail.
Right. There you are.
Buck, that's ultronium. The heavy material these ships carry for balance.
Why is he unloading it that way? Lightening his ship won't give him any more speed, will it?
Not a bit. Here in space, it has no weight anyway.
What's the idea?
I don't... Wait.
Huh?
I think I know what he's trying to do.
What, Buck?
You see, that stream of ultronium dust is traveling directly backward along the hull.
Yes.
Sure, his forward motion makes it travel back that
Well,
way.
what it does is provide an element for his rocket blast to push against.
You're right, Buck. And he's picking up a little additional speed.
Not very much, though. And there goes the last of the ultronium.
Oh, I hope it hasn't given him enough speed to keep ahead of us.
Oh, sir. There's a lot more than that to keep us from catching him.
Before he can reach one of the black planetoids?
Well...
Buck, our non-recoil energy projector.
Yes, sir?
Turn it back, and it will push against the rocket exhaust.
Sure, that'll give us more speed.
Why didn't we think of that before?
Turn it on, Buck.
Right, sir. There. Just let Killer Kane try to stay away from us now. Boy, Doctor, adding the power of our force ray to the rocket certainly did the trick.
There, we're pulling up on Kane and Ardela now, all right.
Yes, I can see it through this forward metallo glass window.
But say, Buck.
Yeah?
Doesn't it seem to be getting awfully hot in here?
Yeah.
Couldn't be anything wrong with the air conditioning unit, could there?
No, according to these dials, everything's okay.
It's getting hot, though.
Maybe there's a leak in the insulation around one of the rocket tubes. I'm going to take off my flying jacket.
What could be doing it, Doctor?
Well, if the insulation around a rocket tube, it would show up that... Wait. Look.
What's it?
Look ahead at Kane's ship.
Yeah?
He's using a thermic radiation projector on it.
But we have a hull of solid impervium around
It
us.
still won't prevent heat from slowly seeping in by simple radiation.
And the closer we get to Kane, the more we'll feel that heat ray.
Yes.
Just look at this thermometer.
What's it say?
38 degrees centigrade. It's about 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
Run the ventilating system at maximum, Buck.
Maximum now, Doctor. It goes up automatically.
41 degrees centigrade. It was terrible.
Yeah, you're telling me. Phew.
It's getting worse. Worse. There's nothing we can do about it.
All the metal in here is radiating heat. These controls are almost too hot to touch.
Maybe we better change our course.
After all we've been through to catch up with them? No, sir.
But the heat is awful. I don't think I can stand it much longer.
A few more minutes, we'll be able to hook onto Kane's ship. With the magnetic grapples.
We'll be burned alive before we can reach it. Oh.
No, sir, Wilmer. We've got to keep on. We've got to, that's all.
Well, I admire Buck's spirit, but it looks to me as though the odds are pretty much against them. I will be back with you in a minute, so sit tight and hear a few words from your favorite announcer.
Presenting the amazing interplanetary adventures of Flash Gordon. Last week, Flash Gordon, the invisible avenging shadow, jumped from the palace window and escaped. Azura, the witch queen, ordered him shot the next time his voice was heard. Back at the herdsman's cottage, Zarkov persuaded Dale that it was useless to follow Flash into the enemy territory, and the two settled down to wait for his return. At the palace, the wizard Saul hit upon the brilliant idea of cutting off Flash's supply of magic invisibility, thus forcing him to appear again. Then he set out at the head of a company of soldiers to locate and capture Zarkov. While this was going on, Flash discovered the cell in which they had placed Khan, the Hawkman. Still invisible, Flash snatched the flame rifle from an unsuspecting guard, and with it melted the lock on the cell door and freed his friend Khan. Just as they were about to make their escape, Khan saw Flash Gordon's hands appearing. At that moment, the witch queen Azura arrived with a company of soldiers. While Khan held them off with the flame rifle, Flash seized Azura and dragged her struggling and screaming down the corridor. These thrilling adventures come to you as they are pictured each Sunday in the Comic Weekly, the world's greatest pictorial supplement of humor and adventure. The big full-page Comic Weekly, each page printed in full colors, is distributed everywhere as an integral part of your Hearst Sunday newspaper. Now we continue the story.
At last, Azura, I have you in my power.
Let go of me, Flash Gordon. How dare you lay hands on me in this manner?
You've caused me all the trouble you're going to, Azura. Come along. Down this way.
Let me go. Stop. Where are you taking me?
I'm going to take you where Zarkov and Dale are out in hiding.
Oh.
Then maybe I can handle Cole and those soldiers of yours. With you out of the way, they may listen to reason.
My soldiers will fight to the last man to save me in the Blue Magic Land.
We'll have a good chance to see how true that is. Come along.
No.
We've no time to lose.
Don't you dare take me up in your arms. You.
And only a little while ago you were begging me to.
But then I thought you loved me.
Well, don't flatter yourself. This doesn't mean anything to me. I'm only trying to get us away quicker. Ah, they've seen us.
They've seen me, you mean. And I must look funny, hanging on to nothing, apparently suspended in midair. Put me down this minute.
Not until we get out of here.
Please, Flash, darling.
I'm warning you, Azura, that doesn't have any effect on me.
Oh, if I could see your face, I'd slap you.
The soldiers are in hot pursuit. If I didn't have you, I'd be able to escape them quicker.
Good. Then why don't you let me go and escape?
I've risked everything just for this moment, having you my prisoner. I won't let you go now.
Do not be a fool, Flash Gordon. My men will catch up to us. They will free me, and they will kill you.
Oh, no, they won't. They won't be able to see me.
That is no longer true. Your hands are plainly visible.
My hands?
No matter which way you run now, my men can trace you.
I've forgotten about my hands.
Let me down, Flash, while you still have a chance to escape.
I can only find a place to hide.
You won't be able to around here.
Then we'll drop off this wall. Steady. Here we go.
Oh!
We made it. We're outside the palace grounds. With their guns and equipment, it'll take those soldiers a few seconds longer than it took us to get to the ground. That's all the start I need.
Where are you heading?
Toward those hills yonder. I can lose the soldiers once we get among the hills.
No, you must not go that way.
I see an iron door over there.
No.
It looks like a way out for us. Here we are. Come on, Azura. Through this iron door.
No, Flash, no. See the sign? It says death to all who enter here.
I can put up another one just now reading death to all who do not enter here. Those soldiers will be right along. In you go. Quickly, Azura.
No, Flash. This is the pit of peril.
I don't care what it is. Get through that door.
Back in the forest, Dr. Zarkov and Dale continue to pile up a supply of firewood.
Watch out, Dale. Here she goes.
My, what a big crash that was.
It is a pretty big fellow.
Aren't you tired, Dr. Zarkov? I should think you would be. I'm tired just picking up the branches and chips.
I am sorry, Dale. I should have been more considerate. Myself, I am a strong man. But you are a girl unused to hard work. We can rest a while.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Zarkov. What are you doing to the invisible ray machine?
Hiding it in the branches of this tree I have just cut down. I think it better be kept out of sight.
Why don't you put it in the cottage?
Somebody would be sure to look in there, Dale. But they would not bother with a big tree lying on its side.
Oh, you're a very clever man, Dr. Zarkov.
Not clever, just cautious.
Suppose somebody should come around. Where would you hide us?
There is a little loft up over the door. If we should see any of Azura's searching party coming, or should we be taken by surprise, climb up in there. The cottage is so bare, they would never bother to search it carefully.
The loft above the door. I'll remember that.
Now, I will put this machine among the branches and camouflage it. An old war trick.
Dr. Zarkov, I know you think I'm being silly, but I can't help worrying about Flash. Why doesn't he come back?
I must at all times tell the truth, Dale. I do not know.
Oh.
Although I have not said anything, I too have been wondering why he has not returned by now.
There is only one answer. Flash has been captured.
Well, either that or else he has been defeated someplace and cannot get to us.
Then we must go to him.
I have considered that, Dale. But if we leave here and Flash manages to return, how will we get together? He will not know where we have gone.
We can leave him a note.
No. Flash will probably want another electrical treatment.
Oh, I never thought of that.
There must be someone here to give it to him.
I can give it to him. Dr. Zarkov, you go and see what's happened to Flash. I'll stay here in case he returns.
Are you sure
that I can give him the electrical charge?
Yes.
Of course I can. Just tell me the reading of the dial. I've seen you do it twice now.
You will not be afraid here alone?
What is there to be afraid of? There's plenty of wood for a fire, and I won't leave the cottage while you're gone.
Very well. If you're sure
I'm very sure. Oh, please go and see what's happened to Flash.
I will. The reading of the dial is 1250.
1250. I'll remember.
Here, you take my ray pistol. I will take the axe with me.
All right.
I saw a horse wandering on a hill over there the other day. I will catch it and ride to the palace. Remember, stay close to the cottage.
I will. Good luck, Dr. Zarkov. And tell Flash I love him.
I will. Goodbye, Dale.
Goodbye.
I'll be back as soon as I can.
Meanwhile, back at the palace, Khan vanquishes the soldiers with his flame rifle.
We surrender.
So you realize what you're up against, do you? Good. Throw down those guns. From now on, you'll take your orders from me. You understand?
We understand, yes, Captain.
Now then, where's General Tao? I want to talk to him.
Father's not here. He's away.
Away, is he? Where?
Searching for the scientist and the girl.
For Zarkov and Princess Dale, eh? Well, he's going to have a long search. When he comes back, empty-handed, tell him I want to see him.
Yes, Captain.
Woe unto us. Woe unto the land of blue magic men.
Who's that?
Natsup, Captain.
What's the matter, Natsup?
The Queen. Queen Azura. Woe unto us.
Well, speak. What has happened to her?
The shadow.
The shadow got her?
Yes.
Good.
And he dragged her into the pit of peril.
The pit of peril?
Yes. We pursued the Queen in the shadow to the door which says, "Death to all who enter here." The two went through the door. It clanged shut in our faces.
What lies behind that door, Laptop?
It is the pit of the death dwarf. The Queen is lost, and the shadow will be killed, too.
I hope not. Listen, soldiers. Until it is proved otherwise, I am in charge here. I rule in the name of King Flash the First. Do you understand? Flash Gordon is a mighty man. He does not fear death, nor does death overtake him, as you have found out. So I shall not give up hope, as you have. While there is life, there is hope for Flash Gordon. Take me to this iron door. While this is happening, Dale Arden bravely watches for the return of her sweetheart. As she stands looking over the horizon, she sees a troop of Azura's soldiers riding into the valley, straight toward the cottage. Remembering Zarkov's instructions, Dale goes into the cottage and climbs up to the loft over the door and shuts the door after her. Into the clearing in which the cottage stands, the horses gallop, and at a signal from their leader, General Tall, they dismount.
Now, men, we haven't seen any traces of that Earth wizard yet, but he must be around somewhere. This place looks as though it had been recently occupied. Search it.
General, this wood has been freshly cut, General Tall. This big tree has been freshly chopped down, General.
Then this must be in the hiding place of the Earth wizard. Search the grounds. I'll look in the cottage. There is no one in here, and the place is barely furnished. They must have seen us coming and cleared out.
No signs of anyone around, General. But there is every indication of a hasty departure.
And he can't be far off. After him, men. And to make sure he doesn't come back here, we'll burn this cottage to the ground. You, give me that torch.
Yes.
I'll see that it's done myself.
Meanwhile, Flash and Azura are making their way through the pit of peril.
Let us go back, Flash. Do not go any further.
Nothing's happened to us so far, Azura. Why are you so frightened?
I drove the warrior dwarfs down into these tunnels and pits. I execute prisoners by throwing them to the dwarfs.
Well, aren't you their queen? They won't hurt you.
They hate me. I'm the cause of their banishment. They'd have vengeance if they ever caught me.
Well, they haven't caught you yet. Come along.
Oh, Flash.
What is it?
I can see your head now. You are becoming visible again.
I'm sorry to hear that. My remaining invisible is our best bet.
Oh, Flash, take me back. I'm not appealing to you as a queen. I am asking you as a woman who is frightened for her life. Take me back to my own people. I will do anything you say. Anything.
Oh, no, Azura. I know your trick. You turned me over to Tall and his torturers.
No, I swear I will see that you are not harmed. I will make you king. I will obey you forever. I will grant your every desire, fulfill your every wish. Oh, Flash, on my bended knees, I beg of you, take me out of here. Take me back.
Listen. Too late, Azura. Here come the dwarfs. Go and meet them.
They will capture me.
Let them.
Flash, you're not going to let them capture me. They will kill me.
No, they won't. I shall be near you.
Next Sunday, you will find these adventures graphically portrayed in full-color action pictures in the Comic Weekly, which is distributed with your Hearst Sunday newspaper. Meet all the characters face to face, and thus gain the added thrill of knowing them by sight as well as by voice. These remarkable people should be seen as well as heard. Flash Gordon, Dale Arden, and Dr. Zarkov are from the Earth, but Azura, Tall, Khan, and many other characters are from the planet Mongol, where our story takes place. You will also see many old favorite characters, including Toots and Casper, Barney Google, and the Katzenjammer Kid. So be sure to get the Comic Weekly each week with your Hearst Sunday newspaper. And next week at the same time, we'll be back on this station with another chapter in the amazing interplanetary adventures of Flash Gordon.
Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Suspecting the truth, that Clark Kent is in reality Superman, and determined to eliminate him before attacking the rest of the world, Henry Miller, the Nazi Atom Man, and Sidney, the master spy, set a trap for the Man of Steel. Calling on Kent at the Daily Planet, Sidney stated that he had made a careful study of Superman as a hobby and had discovered his double identity. But before publishing his report, he wished Kent to examine his documents, fearful that Sidney might really know the truth, and that the Atom Man might in turn discover it. Kent agreed to come to Sidney's country house that night. As we continue now, the fat spy has just left, and Kent, throwing open his office door, calls to Jimmy Olsen. Listen.
Jim! Oh, Jim!
Yeah?
Come here, please. Hurry.
What's up, Mr. Kent?
Step on it before he gets away.
Well, before who gets away?
That fat man, Sidney.
I don't see any fat...
Come in and close the door. Now listen closely, Jim, and don't interrupt. He's getting into the elevator.
Well, who is?
Sidney. Now...
Oh, who's Sidney?
I said don't interrupt. I want you to call Inspector Henderson. Don't touch that desk.
Gosh,
There are fingerprints on it.
Whose fingerprints?
Sidney's. Now, will you please be quiet and listen?
Okay,
Call
but
Henderson and ask him as a personal favor to me to get a fingerprint man up here at once. I want the prints taken off this corner of the desk and identified if possible. You got that?
Oh, sure, but what's this all about?
No time to tell you now, Jim. Ask Henderson if he knows anything about a man named Sidney, a retired businessman who lives at Green Meadows. That's a few miles north of Glenville on Highway 33. Have you got that?
Sidney, retired businessman, Green Meadows. Check.
Good. Then call Candy Myers and tell him I want all the dope he can get on Mr. Sidney at once. Now, today. I'll either be back later for the information or I'll call you. Now, get going.
Okay, but where are you going?
I'll explain everything later, Jim. Get on the phone and call Henderson first and then Candy Myers. Hurry. Now, out of these clothes. There's no doubt about it. Sidney was implying that I'm Superman. Got to find out more about him. Uh-oh. He's getting into that big black car at the curb. Well, I'll just follow him as Superman. There we are. All set. The window's open. I'll go out that way. Up and away! Now, where is he? Oh, there's his car. Up higher. Up! Heading west toward River Road. Away!
Leaping higher into the bright cloudless sky like some great red and blue bird, Superman streaks above the metropolis traffic, which moves like a procession of tiny ants far below. His keen eyes never leave the big black car in which Sidney drives, and he follows it through the outskirts of the city, then into the country on a broad, rolling highway. A little over an hour later, when the car turns off the highway into a narrow dirt road through the trees, Superman is still high above, watching it stop before a low, rambling house of stone and timbers into which Sidney enters. Dropping a little lower, the Man of Steel hovers, his eyes searching, probing.
Just one other person in the house, a manservant, Oriental of some sort. Nothing suspicious so far. Wait a minute. That closet in his room. I can't see into that. Oh, it's made of mirrored doors opening into the room and bathroom. I can't see through the lead backing on the mirrors. The closet ceiling must have been painted with a heavy lead paint. Sidney's lying down on his couch. Looks like he's going to take a little nap. Well, I'll just look over the ground.
As Superman searches the ground surrounding the house and the nearby woods, Sidney, reclining on a couch, his eyes closed, speaks in a low voice, barely moving his lips, addressing his remarks to Henry Miller, the Atom Man, who was concealed in the glass-doored closet at the foot of the couch.
Don't open the door any wider, Miller.
It's stuffy in here.
Well, we can't take any chances. Superman may be above the house at this very moment.
What makes you think that?
Well, he's no fool. I hinted very strongly to Kent that I believe he's Superman, so he'll naturally be suspicious of me and look the place over thoroughly before he comes here tonight.
You shouldn't have made him suspicious.
I had to, or he wouldn't bother to show up. I purposely laid myself open to him so that when he comes here tonight, he won't possibly think that I'm in league with you or with any other of his enemies. I was even careful to leave some good fingerprints on his desk, which I'm sure that he'll investigate.
You left your fingerprints?
Naturally. Don't worry, don't. There's no record of them in Washington or anywhere else. When Mr. Kent and the police get through investigating me, they'll find out exactly what I said I was. A retired businessman with an apartment in town and a house in the country.
I hope
I'm always right, Miller. Can't afford to be wrong. I've gone over every detail. Superman or Kent will certainly come here tonight. And while you remain in that closet, he can't see you. There's a sheet of lead in the ceiling and heavy lead backing behind the mirrored walls.
You're positive he can't see through lead?
Positive. Now remember, when Kent arrives, I'll bring him in here. If he's Superman, he'll become dazed, as you say he did at the Daily Planet when you approached him.
Yes, he practically collapsed.
If that happens tonight, I'll call to you. You got your converter and metal glove?
Yes, right here in my pocket.
You'll have them on. We'll take him outside and you'll expose him to just enough atomic power to make him lose consciousness. Then we'll keep him in a coma until he finally starves to death.
Will Clark Kent, who is Superman, step into the trap set by Sidney and the Atom Man? We'll return in a moment to find out. But right now, I see that Dan McCullough is waiting to talk to you.
You know, I guess I'm a pretty forgetful guy. All week long, I've forgotten to put in a special plug for the girls who are collecting those swell new comic buttons from packages of Kellogg's Pep. And everybody knows that the girls get just as much fun of these slick-looking buttons as the fellas do. No wonder. It's mighty exciting when Mom opens a new package of Pep to see which button you'll find inside. Maybe it's a comic character that you don't have yet, like Orphan Annie or her dog Sandy or Haroldine, or even Superman himself. Or maybe it'll be a duplicate so that you can have the fun of swapping with one of your friends. But whichever comic strip character it is, it's bound to be doggone smart-looking. And these buttons sure do show up when you pin them on your jacket or dress or cap. And they're so easy to get. You don't send in a single penny, not even a box top. Why, you can't even buy them anywhere. They come only as exclusive prizes in packages of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Ask Mom to get you some Pep tomorrow. Then see which prize you find inside the package. One of these dazzling new comic buttons, or a military insignia or warplane button. There's a button in every package of P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now back to the adventures of Superman.
The big clock in the city room of the Metropolis Daily Planet shows 20 minutes past 7 o'clock in the evening. Only a few reporters, hats tipped back on their heads, still sit at their typewriters. Jimmy Olsen, feet cocked on his desk, slumps back in his chair, snoring gently, as Clark Kent enters and walks swiftly to the boy reporter.
All right, wake up, Jim.
Where? Oh, Mr. Kent. Gosh, I was having the worst dream. Teufel had us tied up.
Never mind your dreams now. What about Sidney?
Sidney?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's okay, Mr. Kent.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know who you thought he was, but...
Did Inspector Henderson have his fingerprints checked?
The guy from headquarters was here right after you left. Henderson called just a little while ago and said to tell you there was no record of Sidney's fingerprints in the department or in Washington.
Mm-hmm. Did Henderson know anything about Sidney?
Yeah, he said he never heard of him.
How about Candy Myers? Did he check on Sidney?
He said Mr. Sidney is a retired businessman, like he told you. He used to be a partner in a glass importing company. He retired 3 years ago, and Candy says made a pile of money.
The house he lives in must have cost a pretty penny. Go on, Jim. What else?
Well, he's a bachelor, and he's got an apartment in the Oglethorpe Apartments and a house in the country near Glenville. He calls it Green Meadows. The doorman and elevator boys at the Oglethorpe told Candy Sidney was a nice, quiet guy. Oh, yeah, he belongs to the Metropolis Athletic Club.
It's a good, respectable club. Anything else?
No, I don't think so. Oh, yeah, he's got a valet named Gito.
Yes, I saw him. So both Inspector Henderson and Candy Myers give Sidney a clean bill of health,
Yeah, he's white as a lily. Oh, look, Mr. Kent, what's this all about? Why were you suspicious of him?
Well, what's the difference? I watched the place practically all afternoon, and I couldn't see anything to worry about either.
Hey, look, I almost starved waiting for you to have lunch. Well, let's go have dinner, and you can tell me about it.
No, can do, Jim. I've got an appointment.
Oh, shucks. Well, come on, we'll go downstairs together.
No, you go ahead. I got one or two things to do before I leave. I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay. Good night.
Good night, Jim. These clothes again. Looks like I spent a lot of time, did a lot of worrying for nothing. Sidney seems to be all right. If he does think I'm Superman, I might be able to talk him out of it. Or at least, since he's a decent citizen, persuade him to keep it under his hat. There we are, all set. Up with the window. And out to Green Meadows. Up and away!
Leaping into the air, Superman streaks through the dark night to Sidney's house in the wooded countryside. where, after searching above the house carefully again, he drops to earth and resumes the garb and guise of reporter Clark Kent. Then, ascending the 3 stone stairs to the heavy oak door, he rings the bell.
Well, good evening, Mr. Kent. I'm delighted to see you. Delighted. Come right in.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Sidney.
Gito will take your hat and your coat.
Oh, all right.
You've no idea how glad I am to see you.
Thank you, Gito.
Gets quite lonesome out here in the country alone. I was just sitting here listening to the radio. But now that you're here, we can have an interesting evening. With Superman.
With Superman?
Discussing him, of course.
Oh.
You will just follow me, Mr. Kent.
Yes.
I have all my material in my study.
Fine. I'm very anxious to see it.
Unaware of the deadly, inescapable trap he is stepping into, Clark Kent follows Sidney down the hall to the study, where, in the lead-lined closet which Superman's X-ray vision cannot penetrate, waits the deadly Atom Man, the electronic converter fastened to his throat, the strange metal gloves on his hands. What will happen? Can anything save Superman now? Don't miss Monday's thrilling episode. Be sure to be with us then. Same time, same station, to hear the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Publications.
Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Convinced it is necessary to eliminate Superman before attempting to control the world, Sidney, the cunning international spy who was in league with Henry Miller, the Nazi Atom Man, set a mortal trap for the Man of Steel. Telling Kent, whom he suspects is Superman, that he had discovered the double identity of the Man of Steel, Sidney invited him to his country house, supposedly to examine some important documents. Suspicious, Kent had Sidney investigated, but learned only that he was a successful retired businessman, as he claimed. After studying the house and grounds for hours, Kent, wearing a special plastic belt designed to indicate the presence of atomic energy, finally rang the bell that evening, his fears gone. Sidney admitted him and led him to his study where, concealed in a closet lined with lead-backed mirrors, which neither Superman's X-ray vision nor kryptonite can penetrate, waits the deadly Atom Man. The closet door is closed, and Sidney motions Kent to an armchair only a few feet away. Listen.
Sit down. Sit down, Mr. Kent. I think you'll find that chair quite comfortable.
Thank you.
May I offer you a cigar or a cigarette?
No, thanks. I don't smoke.
Perhaps you'll have a drink, a highball.
Well, thank you. No, I don't drink either. Don't get any trouble for me, please.
It's no trouble at all. You've no idea how delighted I am to have you here.
You are?
Oh, yes, indeed. You see, I lead a pretty lonely life. Since I retired from business, I have no family. I happen to have enough money for my needs, and so I've nothing to occupy my time, except my hobby.
I see. Yes, I believe you said your hobby was Superman.
Yes, that's right. And you know how a man with a hobby is. He likes to talk to others with the same interest. I imagine you and I know more about Superman than anyone else in the world.
We do?
Of course we do. I, because I've given years of study and research to the subject, and you, for obvious reasons.
I'm afraid I don't understand.
Oh, come now, Ken. There's no need to be cagey with me. I told you that I discovered Superman's double identity, didn't I?
I remember you mentioning it this morning, yes.
But you don't believe it.
Oh, I didn't say that.
But you meant it.
Oh, no.
I don't blame you. Hundreds of men richer than I, powerful men, good and bad, have tried to discover who Superman really is. I rather flatter myself that it was I who finally solved the mystery.
If you have solved it.
Of course I have, of course. Took me a long time, a lot of work, but I solved it.
All right, then I'll ask you the $64 question. Who is Superman?
Why, you, of course.
I?
Naturally. Couldn't be anyone else. You deny it?
So I'm Superman, eh? Well, you're certainly very flattering.
I've investigated story after story in which both you and Superman were involved. Most of them written under your name, by the way.
Oh, well, that doesn't prove anything.
Perhaps not, but I've noticed a situation in almost every story which is the same.
Oh?
Each time, just before Superman appeared, you disappeared. And each time after Superman disappeared, you reappeared.
Oh, haven't you ever heard of coincidence?
And a coincidence repeats itself time after time. It ceases to be a coincidence, Kent. and don't you think it's strange, to put it mildly, that while other members of your staff were seen with Superman many times, you, who had more contact with him than anyone else, were never seen with him?
Oh, you're sure about that I've never been seen with him?
Oh, positive. I've got a filing cabinet in the closet here, filled with stories that prove my point. Let me show you them.
No, don't bother.
Oh, no bother at all. It'll be a pleasure.
Well, it isn't necessary. Since I wrote the stories, I know what's in them. Sit down again, please. I want to tell you something.
Ready to confess?
No. Look, Sidney. Hasn't it occurred to you that you're playing a pretty dangerous game?
What do you mean?
If Superman has another identity,
he has.
He's taken great pains to keep it secret. He's very powerful. He might resent your prying into his personal life.
You can't frighten me, Kent. I've told you, I made a long and careful study of Superman. He's honest, fair-minded, always on the side of truth. He certainly wouldn't persecute me for telling the truth.
If it is the truth.
Oh, it is, and you know it. Admit it, Kent.
I'll admit nothing of the kind.
You are a stubborn chap, aren't you? But I've got something in the closet that'll prove that I know what I'm talking about beyond the shadow of a doubt.
No, wait, please.
Oh, I've really waited long enough.
Well, just a moment longer, please. Now, sit down again.
Well, what is it?
I'm going to confess this much to you. Superman has taken me into his confidence now and then, you might say.
Really?
Yes, and so I happen to know that right at this moment he's in great danger.
Amazing. What sort of danger is he in?
Well, I can't tell you the details, but, a certain person, a person more powerful than he is...
A person more powerful than Superman? It's impossible.
I tell you it isn't. This person is looking for Superman to destroy him. And then destroy all civilization.
Fantastic.
Well, it may be, but it's true. Now, suppose you publish your report stating that I or anyone else is Superman.
Just you.
All right. You say in print that I am. Don't you see that you're literally condemning me to death?
Yeah, no, I hadn't thought of that.
Then think of it now. Promise me to forget all this.
Forget it?
Well, keep it to yourself, anyway.
You're asking a great deal, Kent.
Why?
But I'll make a bargain with you.
What's that?
Admit that you're Superman.
No.
Just to be in confidence. I deserve to know the truth after all the work I've done. In return, I'll promise not to reveal your secret. What do you say?
No.
I'll make you admit it. I got the proof right here.
You're just wasting your time.
I don't think so. Wait. Just a second, Kent.
Great Scott.
What's that noise?
It's my belt, my detector.
Your what?
My detector belt. There's kryptonite around here. Atomic energy. But where? I can't see it. I'm beginning to feel it, but I can't see it.
Staring about wildly, Clark Kent feels himself growing weak as the emanations of the kryptonite in the Atom Man's blood reach him through the slightly open closet door behind him.
We'll return in a moment for the exciting climax of today's episode. But right now, let's stand by for a word from our announcer.
Say, gang, here's something I noticed about those new comic buttons you're all collecting from packages of Kellogg's Pep. Maybe you've noticed it, too, how every single one of those funny sheet characters looks a doggone happy. Yes, sir. You see, well, you probably noticed the big wide grin on Harold Teen, haven't you? And Lillums and Smitty and Superman, of course. Why, even Orphan Annie's dog Sandy has a smile on his face. Looks so real he could bark hello any minute. Well, you see, these characters are straight from the funny papers, and they're done up in full comic strip colors. Brilliant red and blue and black on a gleaming white background. They really stand out when you pin them on your jacket or dress or cap. Yes, sir, you'll want to collect all 18 of these sturdy metal buttons. And you can, easy as 1, 2, 3. You don't send in a single penny, not even a box top. Fact is, you can't buy these new comic buttons anywhere. All you do is to make sure Mom gets you a good supply of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Inside every package, there's a colorful, exciting prize. One of these nifty new comic buttons, or a military insignia or warplane button. Remember, you get these swell prizes only in packages of P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now back to the adventures of Superman.
Pretending that he wanted something in his lead-lined clothes closet, Sidney opened the mirrored door a few inches. At once, the special radar-like belt Clark Kent wore sounded a high-pitched warning as it instantly detected the presence of kryptonite in the bloodstream of the Atom Man who was in the closet. Dazed and frightened, Kent stared wildly about.
There's kryptonite around here. But where? I can't see it.
Did you say kryptonite, Kent?
Yes. I can feel it. And my belt detects it. Where is it?
You must be mistaken. There's no kryptonite here.
There is, I tell you. Wait a minute. That closet. I can't see into it. You, Sidney. You tricked me. You must have. In there.
Where are you going?
Must get out of here.
Going?
You must. Through that window. Up. Up. Where's strength going? I can't get up in the air. Up. Up.
The great Superman's wings. He can't fly. Come out of that closet, Miller.
Get out.
We all right? Clark Kent is Superman.
Of course he is, didn't I tell you?
Miller.
Yes, and this time you won't escape.
No. Keep away from me. I must get away.
He went through the window.
It's all right. He's on his hands and knees. He can't get away. Come on through the window after him.
Well, how could I get through a window? I'll use the back door. You go out and hold him, Miller.
I'll hold him, all right.
No, Miller. Keep away.
You got away from me once, but not this time. When I turn the switch on the converter.
No. No.
There. Now, Superman, alias Clark Kent.
No.
You hear my atomic car?
No.
You feel the green lightning?
No.
This is the end of you.
No.
The end.
Triumphantly, his eyes shining like a maniac's, the Atom Man extends his strange metal gloves, laughing wildly as the jagged green sparks of lightning pitchfork into Clark Kent's body and strike him to the earth. Once before, Superman escaped death by a miracle at the fearful hands of the Atom Man. But this time, guided by the shrewd brain of Sidney, a fate has been prepared for him which he himself said was the only way in which he could ever be destroyed. Tomorrow, Superman's life hangs in the balance, so be sure to be with us then. Same time, same station, for a thrill a minute in The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Publications.
Fed up with the everyday grind? Tired out by the dull routine? You want to get away from it all?
We offer you escape.
Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
You are crouched in the middle of an immense hurricane. Houses, animals, trees sweeping past you. And you suddenly realize that you've tampered with the universe. That you're bringing about the destruction of the world.
Tonight, we escape to a placid English village and the presence of an equally placid little man who one day shook the world, as H.G. Wells told it in his delightful and famous story, The Man Who Could Work Miracles.
Now, I might say right in the beginning that I ain't the kind of chap who has a naturally argumentative disposition, meaning the kind who's always engaging in hostile discussions with perfect strangers. Quite the contrary. I'm a reasonable man who always takes proper thought before he speaks, and one who has due respect for scientific truth. Why, I ain't never opened my mouth to utter a word that wasn't a pure, a undiluted, a fact.
That's what you say.
Howsoever, when a man of inferior intellect, such as Toddy Beamish has showed himself to be more than once, when a man like that insists upon airing his ridiculous opinions in a public place such as the Long Dragon Bar, then I've got no choice but to confound him with the superior knowledge which I possesses.
That may be well and good, perhaps, but it's only what you say.
On the contrary, Mr. Beamish, the statements which I have just made are such as might come from any intelligent human being with a true knowledge of scientific principle, which saying can't be said for some of us here at this bar.
So you say.
That's right, so I say. And if you can't contribute nothing but the same 3 words to this discussion, I will thank you to admit that you're defeated and shut your mouth.
Well, now, Mr. Father...
Easy, lads. I appeal to you,
Easy
Constable.
does it.
I appeal to you, Constable, when I'm only trying to enlighten the man from the bog of ignorance he's a-floundering in. And he keeps coming up with his infernal, so you say. Well, I'm a-wasting my words, that's all.
If the pint was stout and I'll float across this bar the way words do, why, then I'd have been retiring years ago.
Quite right, Miss Bridges. I'll have another the same if you don't mind.
Let's see, that was a pint of bitter, wasn't it?
By all rights, Toddy Beamish, I shouldn't be wasting me time on you. But out of the goodness of my heart, I'll do it anyhow.
Suit yourself.
There you are.
Now, let's take, for example, that pint of ale that you're holding in your hand.
It's pretty nigh empty.
I paid for the last one. All right. Now, suppose, for instance, if that ale was to turn into wine.
I never cared much for wine. Always liked ale better.
Now, if that ale there was to turn into wine, then you'd have a miracle.
So you say.
So anybody says. Perhaps you ain't even aware of the proper definition of what a miracle is, Mr. Beamish.
Well, some miracles is one kind, and some is another.
Oh, if anybody left so much as 2pence on the bar as a gratuity for my services, that would be a miracle, all right.
Be that as it may, Miss Bridges, but a miracle ain't of one kind or another. A true miracle is something contrariwise to the course of nature, done by the power of will.
So you say.
Something what couldn't happen without being specially willed to happen. And miracles ain't possible.
Easy, lad, easy now. Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say they ain't.
It's your ignorance that's talking. Look, you see that lamp sitting there on the end of the bar, burning as bright as you please?
I see it right enough.
Now, that lamp, in the natural course of nature, couldn't burn like that if it was turned upside down and hanging in the air.
You say it couldn't.
Mr. Beach, do you mean to tell me that you...
All right. Maybe it couldn't.
Ah, and if it did, it'd be a miracle. Very well. Now, supposing somebody was to come along, take me, for instance, and he pointed his finger at that lamp like this and said, "Turn upside down." Now, if the lamp
What's preserve us if it aren't doing it?
Well, now. Blimey.
Abandoning it hanging there without a visible means of support.
I can't keep it up there much longer.
Remarkable. Highly remarkable.
And now then, Mr. Fotheringay, stop it. Stop it immediately, and that's my official order.
Have a care, Constable. Watch out. There it goes.
Oh, now see what you've done, Mr. Fotheringay. My best lamp chimney. Oh, clean no more than an hour ago. Smashed into smithereens.
But I didn't try to do it.
Oh, for all you knew, you might have caught the whole place afire.
Most irregular and illegal besides, like as not. We'll have no more of it. You understand?
But I tell you, I didn't mean for
you
it.
and your silly conjuring trick.
It wasn't a conjuring trick.
That's what you say.
No doubt you've had a bit too much to drink.
All I done was to point my finger at it like that and...
Stop it now! Don't you dare!
But that's all I've done.
In that case, Mr. Fotheringay, you defeat your own argument right out of your own mouth.
And how is that, might I ask?
If it weren't caused by some form of trickery, then what happened to that lamp was a miracle.
Oh, here now, I ain't holding with no blooming miracles.
Hold with them or not, as the case might be, Mr. Fotheringay. But you just stood right there and performed a real, true, honest, genuine miracle. That's what you done.
It wasn't a matter of being asked to leave the Long Dragon, you understand. I already had my mind set on going anyhow. A place what's full of ignorant superstition ain't the kind of place for a man of rational intellect to be doing his thinking in. And thinking was just what was called for. On the one hand, I weren't ready to swallow no miracle theory, but on the other hand, I wasn't able to recollect no scientific principle what might account for that which had happened. As you might say, the question had dissolved itself into a dilemma. Oh, my landlady, Mrs. Tetherington, was sitting up in the parlour when I come in.
Good evening, Mr. Fotheringay.
But I can't recall saying anything to her.
Well, very well, Mr. Fotheringay.
I went straight to my own room, closed my door, lit the candle, and then I sat there on the edge of my bed, grappling with the problem in heroic fashion and trying to puzzle out the ultimate solution. Weren't no easy thing to do. It couldn't have happened, but it had happened, which ain't logic no matter how you look at it. Why, it'd be the same situation if I was to point my finger at that candle there and say, be raised up in the air, and it was to... Ooh, blimey, hanging there like a blooming firefly. But it's contrariwise to... Whoop, there it goes. Oh, black as your hat. Now, where in the tarnation did that confounded thing get to? At any rate, there should be some matches around here somewhere. I say, maybe I could... Let there be a match in me hand. Well, now, just like that. Oh, a safety match. A lot of blooming good that's going to... half a mo now. Maybe I don't need no match. Maybe I could... Candle, wherever you are, be lighted. Oh, here now, not in the middle of my bed. Oh, no, we'll not be having any of that now. Well, come in, it ain't locked.
Mr. Fotheringay, might I inquire what's coming off up here?
You might inquire, and to blazes with you. Can't you recognize a man who's got his hands full of trouble?
Troubles indeed. I'll have you understand. Mr. Fotheringay, why is smoke coming out of that bed?
Because it caught on fire. That's why.
Oh, me wool comforter with a Noel band in it. And taking lighted candles to bed with you.
I am not taking no candles anywhere, and I will thank you to leave me the privacy of my own bedchamber.
Well, I never. You have been drinking.
On the contrary, I have been cogitating upon matters of science, which is far beyond the range of your feeble intellect.
With all the money I have to spend on candles. I'll let you know that if any candles are going to be tossed around loose like in this house, I'll do the tossing.
Mrs. Tetherington, I might remind you that good, steady lodgers, such as a man like myself, ain't so easy to come by nowadays. With which I will bill you a highly respectable, a good night.
I've never been so insulted in all my life. And you can rest assured you haven't heard the last of this.
Old vulture. Don't know who she's talking to. Me? A bloke what's only got to point his finger and say, be, and it is. Blimey, if I ain't suddenly got the power to perform miracles. Real, genuine miracles. Like as not, the result of my long devotion to the true principles of science. Well, I got through the next day without no trouble, and come evening I went walking down the lane that leads around Millsdale's pond, attempting to put my mental processes into order, as you might say. Mostly I kept trying to cogitate on some honest-to-Betsy miracle I might up and perform. But it ain't such an easy matter for a chap who's unaccustomed to goings-on of that nature. No, what I wanted was the genuine article, you understand. No little shenanigans, one with which to make people stop and say, blimey now, if that ain't a real downright miracle for you. And all of a sudden, I had it. I just happened to recollect a chap somewhere who stuck his staff into the ground and commanded it to blossom. So, I poked me walking stick into the edge of the turf, I backed off a wee bit and pointed my finger at it. Walking stick, become a blooming bush of flowering posies. Roses, by heaven. I done it! Just like that fella in the opera.
Here now, what's going on here?
Oh, Constable Winch, confound the man anyhow.
Cease and desist whatever it is you're doing in the name of the crowd.
Oh, you there, Rosebush. Go back now. Fast.
Have a mind there. Who it is you're throwing bramble bushes at? Blasted corn smite into the man severely. Yeah,
Confounded blundering idiot.
I'll see now who's conducting nefarious activities under the cover of darkness. Assaulting an officer engaged in the pursuit of his natural... Well, so it's you, Mr. Fotheringay.
The fact being self-evident, Mr. Winch, I will not bother myself to answer.
So you'll not bother yourself to answer, eh? Maybe you'll also deny that you just threw a great heavy mass of foliage at me?
I do deny it.
Then no doubt it just up and flew through the air all by itself.
Constable Winch, you have just hit the nail on the head.
So, that's the way the wind blows. Some more of them blasted hanky-pank conjuring tricks of yours, is that it?
On the contrary, it was merely a small miracle.
You don't say so. In which case, His Honor might enjoy hearing you tell about it. So come along with you now.
I will do nothing of the kind.
Oh, resisting an officer. That'll be another charge against you.
Charge, indeed. Mr. Winch, you can take your charges and go to Hades. Whoa, Constable. Oh, Mr. Winch. Oh, blimey, if he ain't gone and disappeared complete like. Oh, I wonder if he... I'm thinking this miracle business ain't all it's talked up to be. Why, a man might find himself in a whole peck of trouble before he learns the knack of the thing. I'm thinking I'd best go and get myself some really professional advice right away.
Good evening to you, brother. A very pleasant evening to
and
you.
The same to you with many of them, Mr. Maydig. That is your reverence.
Oh, no formality now, none at all, no. Just call me Mr. Maydig.
Well, now, thank you kindly, your Maydig. Ship.
Won't you step inside?
Much obliged to you, Mr. Reverend Ship.
Just follow me now. This way, Mr. I can't say that I caught the name.
Fotheringay. George W. Fotheringay.
Ah, yes. Not from my parish.
Well, yes. I attended services last Christmas.
Indeed? Well, so many people did last Christmas. Well, here we are, Mr. Fotheringay. Take a chair.
It's Fotheringay. Nice diggings you've got here.
Oh, adequate, Mr. Motheringay. Adequate for my simple wants. Yeah, now just feel entirely free to lay your burdens upon my shoulders.
Well, the fact is, the matter which I come here to talk about might be considered of a somewhat delicate nature.
Oh? Well, think nothing of it. Please, feel free to speak, speak freely. My housekeeper retires very early.
Oh no, Your Reverendship, it's nothing like that.
Oh. Then, like what?
The subject about which I'm inquiring is miracles.
Miracles? Yes, indeed, miracles. Any special kind of miracles?
Oh, yes. The kind which I perform myself.
Oh, which you perform... I see. And what sort of miracles do you perform?
Well, for one thing, I have just finished sending Constable Winch to Hades.
Hades? Indeed. Now, that's very interesting.
Well, of course, when I realized what had happened, I had him transferred to San Francisco. Wherever that is.
Oh, I'm sure he'd like San Francisco much better.
You don't believe me. I can't say that I blame you none either.
Well, after all, Mr. Dotheringay...
It's Fotheringay. Well, very well. There ain't nothing else to do but for me to go up and perform a few miracles before we go any farther.
Well, that's very interesting, I'm sure.
Now, you just take that jar of tobacco there on the table, for instance. Suppose I just point my finger at it, like this, and... become a bowl of violets.
Yes, indeed, it's very
You see, it ain't no tobacco jar no more. It's a bowl of violets.
Well, God, blimey. I mean, so it is.
Of course, it ain't nothing very spectacular, Your Reverendship, but it is the sort of a miracle a man can pass without tangling himself up in a mass of trouble.
Extraordinary. Very, well, extraordinary.
You can see for yourself they're real violets.
Indeed. Yes, indeed.
Now, take this, for example. Become a bowl of fish.
Oh,
no, not that kind. Live fish in a goldfish bowl, swimming around. Now. Well, that's better.
It's amazing. How did you do it?
Just told it to.
That's all?
That's all. When I tells a thing to do it, it does it.
Incredible.
Come on with something like, you might say. And I'd like to know if it's a real genuine miracle or if it ain't.
Well,
seeing as our miracles ought to come under Your Reverendship's special province, more or less.
Yes, indeed. However, usually in a somewhat more academic fashion. These are more astonishing.
As far as I can tell, there ain't no limit to it. Like, for instance, bowl of fish, turn into a pigeon.
Why, good heavens, look at the thing.
Here now. None of that. Oh, you stay away from Mr. Maydig now. Perhaps I'd better become that jar of tobacco again. Well, Reverend, what do you think about it?
Amazing. It's the most extraordinary thing I've ever seen in my life. Ever expected to see. No, I've got to think about it, consider the possibilities.
Well, I might come back in the morning.
Oh, no. Wouldn't hear of it. I was about to dine when you rang. I wonder if you'd join me. Of course, I'm afraid there's only cold mutton.
Oh, well, now, maybe there's something else you might like better.
Oh, anything. Frankly, I've grown to hate the sight of... You don't mean...
Why not? Just name it.
Pheasant. I haven't tasted pheasant in years.
And now is the time. Let there be a pheasant on the table. No. Not like that. Let it be dead and roasted and ready to eat.
Look at it. Oh, it's beautiful.
It smells good, too. Maybe we'd best
Let there be 2 pheasants. And truffle.
Yeah, and truffles.
And maybe some oysters.
2 dozen oysters. You better make it 3 dozen.
And some cheddar. Oh, we must have some cheddar.
Yeah, a pound of cheddar. And what to drink, your reverence? Champagne?
Well, I really shouldn't, you know, but, perhaps a small bottle of Moselle?
Mixed bottles of Moselle, a keg of stout, and a case of champagne. There wasn't no mistake about it. I'd come to the right place for certain. Once Mr. Maidie got over his first astonishment, he turned out full of ideas for brand new miracles. Things even I might never have thought of, like as not. Well, we polished off that meal in no time at all. As easy as a cat frying eggs. And an hour later, we was out walking in the dark streets of the village, turning out miraculous jobs so fast, I fairly wore out my finger a-pointing with it. I couldn't begin to tell you all the wonderful things we did in a couple of hours. Installed a new railway line, drained Flinders Swamp, turned it into a meadow, cured the vicar's warts, paved all the roads, eliminated taxation, reformed the Lord Mayor, and made all the girls in the village beautiful. These weren't none of your halfpenny miracles. All of these were big. And we went right on turning them out, one every 2 minutes, just as regular as clockwork. By midnight, we passed clean through the village and were walking along the lane by Millsdale's Pond, fairly tired out by all that thinking and pointing and performing of miracles.
Mr. Fotheringay, I've just thought of another one.
Indeed? And what might it be?
The village clock. There in the steeple. Listen to it. It's terrible.
True enough. It ain't got a very melodious sound to it.
Then let's give them a good clock, eh? A great, rich, booming one.
All right, Mr. Maidie. Let that there clock become a genuine London-style cathedral clock.
Oh, much better. Much better. Oh, the people of this village are going to have a big surprise when they wake up in the morning after all we've done for them tonight.
I might say there's 1 or 2 things we've done that I ain't so sure about.
Oh?
Like turning every drop of alcoholic beverages into plain water, for instance.
Oh, it's nothing to worry about, Mr. Fotheringay. You can always turn out a miraculous pint or 2 for your own purposes, and it will reform all the drunkards in the village.
Maybe so. At any rate, we might as well wait and see what comes of it. What do we perform next?
I really don't know. Can't think of another single miracle that we haven't already.
Half a moment, Mr. Maidie. I just thought of one of my own I'd best take care of. Let Constable Winch be right back in San Francisco again. He might be catching a boat or a train or something, you understand? I think the best idea is just to keep sending him back there every once in a while.
I doubt you have anything to worry about. San Francisco is some distance away, you know.
Oh, is it? Oh, I'm glad to hear it.
I keep trying to think of one more miracle. A big one. Something worthy of ending the night with. But I just don't... Oh, well, now.
Huh?
I say, there is one, you know.
Such as?
You see that moon, Mr. Fotheringay?
Naturally. Almost full, by the looks of it.
You remember Joshua?
Joshua? Oh, come off it now.
It would be a wondrous thing to see.
Well, now, that's a pretty tall order, making the moon stand still.
Oh, well, actually, it only appears to stand still. What really happens is that the Earth stops rotating.
You don't have to inform me about scientific principles of which I'm already familiar, Mr. Maidie. Howsoever, I think we'd best not go monkeying around with the universe.
Well, you probably don't have the power to do it anyway. It's really a superior class of miracle, you know.
I got the power, all right, but I ain't so sure it's a good idea. I could do it if I wanted to.
Oh, of course you could. Well, perhaps we'd better get along home.
Half a mo now. I I might just leave it stopped for a little while.
Oh, if you could stop it at all.
Oh, well now, if that's the way you feel, you just take a look at this. The old blinking world. Stop rotating. Where now? What's all this? I didn't order no wind.
Fotheringay, what have you done?
I don't rightly know. Look out. Things is starting to blow loose.
Oh, you confounded, blundering idiot.
Duck your head. Here comes a cow through the air. Missed. You better lie down in the ditch before it gets blowed away.
Oh, it's getting worse all the time.
Well, I can't seem to pull my wits together. Oh, I've got it. When the Earth stopped rotating, everything on the surface kept right on moving. 500-600 miles an hour. Houses, cows, the wind, everything. It's a scientific principle.
A lot of good that was. Stop it, man. Stop it. Do something. Do...
Oh, Mr. Maydig. Oh, Mr. Maydig. Oh, blimey if he ain't blown clean away. Go on. Oh, now I've got myself in a pine kettle of fish for certain. Only there weren't so much confusion, maybe I could... Oh, I say now. That's it. It's the only answer. All right now. Let nothing happen until I say the word go. And when I do, let everything go back exactly like it was just before I turned that blooming lamp upside down in the Long Dragon bar. And at the same time, let me lose this here miraculous power completely. Forget all about it. Have you got it now? Everything just as it were. No more miracles. And let me forget the whole thing. All right then. Ready? Go!
That's only what you say.
And the same as anybody might say who's got the least bit of scientific knowledge inside of their thick heads. Ain't I right, Constable Winch?
You couldn't rightly say, Mr. Fotheringay. The subject ain't exactly in my province, you know. And all the same, Miss Bridges.
Right you are, Constable.
Irregardless, Mr. Beamish, miracles ain't possible.
So you say.
So I say. Maybe you don't even know what a miracle is.
Here we are.
Maybe if I was to point my finger at that lamp there on the bar and tell it to turn upside down, I suppose you think it might do it.
Well, I wouldn't say it wouldn't.
You wouldn't say it wouldn't. Mr. Beamish, you ain't got a brain in your head. And I'm only wasting my time trying to enlighten you, which I ain't going to do any longer. There you are, Miss Bridges.
Why, thank you kindly, Mr. Fotheringay.
I'll be dropping in again when the place ain't quite so crowded. I bid you all a respectful, a good, a night.
Well, Toddy, I'd say you got the best of the argument tonight. I never saw him
Glory be, will you take a look at this?
What's up, Miss Bridges?
Sixpence. He left me a sixpence. Right here on the bar, big as anything.
And so he did.
The like of it ain't never happened before. Saints preserve us if it ain't a downright bloomin' miracle. That's what it is. A bloomin' miracle.
Escape is produced and directed by Norman MacDonald. Tonight we have brought you The Man Who Could Work Miracles by H.G. Wells, adapted for radio by Les Crutchfield, with editorial supervision by John Dunkel. Featured in tonight's story was Ben Wright as Mr. Fotheringay, with John Daner as Mr. Maydig, Wilms Herbert as Toddy Beamish, and Jeff Corey as Constable Winch. Eleanor Audley was Mrs. Tetherington, and Constance Cavendish was Bridges. Special music by Ivan Ditmars. With tonight's program, we bring to a close the present series of the world's best stories of high adventure by the world's greatest authors, presented as Escape. Next week, at this time, Lum and Abner return to the air in a new half-hour program you'll want to hear. Be sure to listen. Roy Rowan speaking for CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
fed up with the everyday grind? Tired out by the dull routine? Want to get away from it all?
We offer you Escape. Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
You are speeding through the English countryside, the fast express train rocking beneath your feet. And you know that somewhere in the dark ahead of you, a band of men are plotting the destruction of the train, are planning the moment of your death.
Today we escape to England at the turn of the century and the story of a complete train that vanished from the face of the earth. As Sir Arthur Conan Doyle told it in his fascinating tale, The Lost Special.
"20 years with Scotland Yard have brought me into contact with many weird and unusual events in human affairs, but none more strange than the occurrences which began on the afternoon of June the 3rd, 1890, in the railway station at Liverpool. On no case before had I ever felt myself so helpless, groping blindly, as it were, for an unseen adversary, not being certain of the nature of the crime, not even knowing, in fact, if it were a crime. Suffice to say that along a short stretch of railway line in western England, I learned what is truly meant by terror of the unknown. At 4 o'clock of the afternoon in question, having completed a rather minor investigation which had brought me to Liverpool, I was sitting in the waiting room of the railway station reading and waiting for the 6 o'clock train for London, entirely unaware at that moment of a rather ordinary conversation that was taking place in the office of Mr. James Bland, the station master, a few yards away.
I'm very happy to know you, Mr. Carroll, and you, Mr. Gomez. And now, if I might learn the nature of your wishes?
Simply this, Mr. Bland. My companion and I have arrived on the steamer from Central America, which docked less than an hour ago. It is of the utmost importance that we reach London as quickly as possible in order to arrange passage across the Channel to France.
I see. Well, it's unfortunate you missed the 3 o'clock train, Mr. Carroll. However, there'll be a limited leaving at 6 that will put you in London.
That is not soon enough, Mr. Bland. I cannot stress too highly the importance of my reaching Paris at the earliest possible moment.
I can understand that, but there simply isn't any other train until
Quite
6.
so. Quite so. I am informed, however, that it is possible to charter a special train upon occasion.
A special? Yes, it's possible. Rather expensive, though.
The cost is not important, Mr. Bland. How soon can the arrangements be made?
Well, Mr. Hood, do we have an engine available?
Yes, sir. Number 247 is on the north siding under emergency steam.
Good. Very well, Mr. Carroll. It's 4:08 now. We can roll a special out of here at 4:30. The charge is £55.
Gomez, you will pay Mr. Bland £55.
Who is on the standby crew, Mr. Hood?
Let's see. John Slater is engineer, McPherson guard, Smith fireman.
Call them at once. Have them carry 2 standard coaches behind the engine, and telegraph the station master at St. Helens to hold the local on siding there until the special goes through. Make sure the line is clear as far as Manchester.
Yes, sir.
I'll send for a porter to take care of your briefcase, Mr. Carroll. Seems to be rather heavy.
Thank you, no. I prefer to keep it with me, if you don't mind.
Certainly, whatever you wish. Now, if you leave here at 4:30, you should be in Manchester at 6:15. The station master there will clear you on to London. And I trust you'll have a very pleasant journey.
As I say, I was not aware of these events until a while later, and would have placed no significance on them in any case. At 4:31, the special train with its 2 passengers and 3 crew members pulled out of Liverpool station and headed to Manchester. And at 10 minutes to 6, I was summoned to the office of Mr. James Bland, the station master.
And so that seems to be it. Very likely I have no real reason at all to be worried, Inspector Collins. But since I saw you below there in the station, I thought it wise to call you in on it.
Well, I'm happy to be of any help, Mr. Bland. Yes, as I understand it, your special train is running behind schedule, is that it?
Incredibly behind schedule. Nearly half an hour overdue at Manchester right now. We've wired them to check and report back.
Well, it isn't exactly unheard of for a train to run slow, Mr. Bland.
It is, unless there's some reason, and I can't think of one in this case. The special had clear track all the way. It passed through St. Helens at 4:52, right on time. They wired us, and then 15 minutes later released the local to follow along behind it into Manchester.
You mentioned something about Mr. Catterall having a companion, I believe.
Yes, a great hulking brute named Gomez. He didn't utter a word while they were here. Seemed to be a sort of bodyguard. Catterall himself was small and stooped with a swarthy complexion, possibly a Latin American.
And you got the impression that he was carrying something rather valuable in his briefcase.
Yes, he wouldn't let it out of his hand. And he seemed to be in great fear of something, though I haven't any idea what it may have been.
What about this second chap, Horace Moore?
Typically English, about 40 years old, seemed very anxious to reach his sick wife in London.
Here's Manchester on the wire now, Mr. Bland.
Oh, good. What do they...
Well, just a moment.
Well, here's a message. Assumed change in your original plan. Local from St. Helens arrived Manchester. Reports no sign of special train.
Oh, but that's impossible. St. Helens reported the special through ahead of the local.
Well, is there a branch line between St. Helens and Manchester, Mr. Bland?
No, not even a double track. There's only a single track main line straight through. Sidings, of course, at the local stations for loading purposes. But, Mr. Hood...
Yes, sir?
Check every local operator from St. Helens on. We've got to get to the bottom of this. I can't understand it, Inspector Collins. A locomotive and two coaches can't simply... Well, it's utterly impossible. It can't have just disappeared.
In a few moments, the answers began coming in over the wire. The first was from St. Helens.
Repeating our previous message, a special train passed here at 4:52. Local departed 15 minutes later.
Then from Collins Green.
Special passed here at 5 o'clock, followed by local train 17 minutes later.
And then Earlstown.
Special passed here 5:06, followed by local 18 minutes later.
Newton.
Special passed here 5:12, local train 17 minutes later.
At Kenyon Junction.
Special through here at 5:20, local passed 19 minutes later.
And then Barton Moss.
Local through at 5:53. No special train passed here today.
I tell you, it's absolutely unprecedented, Inspector Collins. An entire train and 5 human beings vanishing from an open track between 2 local stations only 8 miles apart. It's impossible.
The only thing to the contrary being the fact that it has apparently happened.
But I can't understand it.
Mr. Bland, I think you'd better make arrangements to get us out to Kenyon Junction as quickly as possible. Within 10 minutes, we were in a coach behind a goods engine moving at full throttle on the main line east out of Liverpool. Since the missing special had been reported safely through Kenyon Junction, there was no need for concern with the country this side of that station. While the coach rattled and banged along the miles, we spent the time poring over a large-scale map of that 8-mile stretch between the junction and Barton Moss.
As you can see for yourself on the map, Inspector Collins, it's rather open country through there.
Yeah.
Low rolling hills, mostly, with quite a lot of coal mining and one steel mill. No towns or villages near the railway line.
Yes, so I see, Mr. Bland. What about these spur tracks that join the main line? There must be a dozen or more of them.
14, to be exact.
Isn't it possible the special could have been switched onto one of those spurs?
Well, yes and no. 8 of them can be eliminated immediately. Besides being narrow-gauge tracks, they're also much too flimsy to bear the weight of a standard locomotive. Furthermore, they end at loading bins adjacent to the main line. They're not actually connected to it.
I see. Well, that still leaves 6. Are they all standard gauge?
Yes, but 3 of those 6 can be eliminated, too, since they've been abandoned for years. The mines they were built for are no longer operating. The Red Gauntlet, Despond, and Heartsease collieries.
Yes, but abandoned or not, if the tracks are still there, couldn't they be used?
No, they could not. When service to the 3 mines was discontinued years ago, the switches, along with several hundred yards of track adjacent to the main line, were removed to prevent accidents.
And that settles that. But we still have 3 lines left.
Yes, and all in operation. They serve the Big Ben and Perseverance collieries and the Carnstock Ironworks.
Good. Then there's the probable area of our investigation.
Probable? Inspector, I fail to see anything probable about a train scheduled for Manchester turning up in a dead-end siding.
Well, for many years now, Mr. Bland, I've been approaching problems of this sort with a certain theory of logic. Once both the obvious and the impossible are eliminated, and we seem to agree on those, then the solution must lie in the realm of the improbable, no matter how fantastic it may appear to seem.
I can't believe it. Why wouldn't the train crew report in? What about Mr. Carroll's anxiety to get to London? Why wouldn't he have...
Wait. We're slowing down, aren't we?
That's right, sir. We're pulling into Kenyon Junction.
Mm-hmm. This is the last station to report seeing the Lost Special. Very well, gentlemen. This is where we start to work. We stopped in the junction only long enough to rig acetylene spot lanterns at either side of the coach, directed in such fashion as to light up the roadbed and embankment along both sides of the track. And then we puffed slowly out onto the main line and headed towards Barton Moss, 8 miles away. The first mile of those 8 dropped behind us and brought no significant discovery, and we moved on through the second mile. Save for the flood of light from our lanterns and the dull red glow from the firebox of the engine, the night was as black as pitch. Now and again, the ugly shape of a loading bin for one of the narrow-gauge feeder lines would loom out of the darkness ahead of us and float past, ghostly for a moment in our lights, and then dissolve away behind us into the blackness. But on the roadbed, the rails themselves remained unmarred, undisturbed, and offered not the slightest clue to explain a disappearance that grew more mysterious by the minute. We completed the second mile and moved on, and then suddenly...
What is it, Inspector? What do you see?
Stop the engine at once, Mr. Hood.
Yes, sir.
What is it, Inspector?
I think I've seen something.
I don't see a thing.
It's just off the embankment there, the edge of the bushes. We'll need a hand light.
Here you are, sir.
Good. All right, come on now, let's have a look.
My heaven, there is something right enough.
I see now. Well, it looks like a man lying there.
Oh, it's more likely the body of a man from the position he's in. Well, now, lad. Oh, let's turn you over and have a glimpse at your face, huh?
What? Inspector. Why, this is John Slater.
Huh? And who is John Slater?
He was the engineer on the special.
Oh. Well, he's dead. His neck's broken.
Dead?
I'll venture a quick guess it was caused by a fall from the cab of his engine. Traveling rather fast at the time, I'd say. You can see where he rolled through the bushes for some little distance there.
But then what happened to the locomotive, Inspector? Afterward, I mean.
Well, that still remains to be seen, Mr. Hood. We can be fairly certain of one thing, though. The special must have come at least this far out of the junction. Otherwise, it's pretty difficult to account for the engineer's body being here.
No more difficult, surely, than it is to account for any of this. This whole thing is incredible. Impossible.
Well, we still have our improbabilities, Mr. Bland. Those 3 connected spur lines are ahead of us yet, and the chances are one of them is going to supply some kind of an answer. By midnight, I'd completed a thorough check of the 3 lines. The first one, to the Big Ben colliery, ran 1.5 miles back into the hills and ended against the face of a huge pile of coal. Not large enough, however, to cover a locomotive and 2 coaches. I made certain of that. The line to the Perseverance colliery was hardly more than 1/2 mile long. It had been blocked all day, and it was still blocked by a string of loaded ore cars, and ended beyond them against the open rock face of a quarry. And the last line, running to the Carnstock Ironworks, was a double track, and had been left open all day. However, a sleepy superintendent informed me that over 200 repairmen had been busy on the roadbed until well after dusk, and it was impossible to imagine a non-scheduled train passing through such a horde of witnesses unnoticed. Oh, shortly after midnight, dog-tired, we walked into Barton Moss Station, still without the slightest explanation of the mystery. I want to send the wire through to Scotland Yard.
Scotland Yard? Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'm prepared to postpone further investigation.
Investigation?
Until daylight.
Yes, sir.
No, sign it Collins. Can you get that off right away?
Right away, sir.
Peaceful English countryside and a dead engine driver.
You speaking to me, sir?
Huh? Yeah, no. It is strange, though.
Strange, sir?
In broad daylight, a 40-ton locomotive with 2 carriages and 4 passengers has vanished from the face of the earth.
In just a moment, we will return to Escape. But first, 10 great shows come to you every Sunday night on CBS, and right and bright in the middle is America's #1 comedy, The Jack Benny Show. Tomorrow night, Jack will take his place on CBS All-Star Night with a cast that's made The Jack Benny Show a welcome visitor in millions of American homes. Yes, Jack Benny, Amos and Andy, Helen Hayes, Eve Arden, and all the other great stars come to you over most of these same stations in CBS's 10 great shows on Sunday nights. And now, with our star, Ben Wright, we return to the second act of Escape and The Lost Special.
By the next morning, of course, the story was out and the daily papers went to work on it. But fortunately for Scotland Yard, the main attention of the press was directed at the moment toward the international scandal, which had been brewing for a week or two among high financial circles in France. As it was, however, letters to the editor in the Morning Post gave us quite a rough go of it. Oh, with all manner of crackpot
It seems
suggestions.
difficult to believe that the worthy operators of Scotland Yard have overlooked the one obvious explanation as to the whereabouts of the missing train. May I advise them that some 2 miles from Barton Moss, the railroad line crosses the West Branch Canal. Unquestionably, the special leapt from the bridge and lies now in the muddy water.
This whole affair is obviously the work of some subversive organization. And until the culprits are brought in to face their just deserts, no man, woman, or child in England can be considered safe. Now, my
Surely
advice
we
in
are
the
witnessing
matter
the fulfillment of ancient prophecies. The forces of evil grow bolder and begin now to invade the earth openly. There is no doubt. But what that strange man Caratol was really the devil in disguise. And it is
Our
high
first
time.
action this morning is to gaze quickly across the city toward Westminster Abbey. Considering the recently demonstrated inefficiency of Scotland Yard and the Manchester-Liverpool railway affair, it's quite possible the Abbey may be spirited away some night soon.
A week passed, and then 2 weeks. We scoured the whole western countryside, following up every lead, tracking down each rumor, and we got nowhere. 3 weeks, 4, and then the press began to ignore the matter. 2 months went by. Nothing new. 3 months, and the activity of Scotland Yard in the matter had come to a standstill. The reason was simple enough. We had no idea what else to do. So the records were finally taken from the active file and marked, case still open and unsolved. Even though I worked on other assignments, my mind kept turning continually back to the case of the Lost Special. I tried to think of some avenue left untried, some path overlooked, and I could think of nothing. I reviewed all of the improbabilities I'd tested and disproved, and I tried to... Improbabilities. Suddenly a fallacy in my own logic began to dawn on me. Arbitrarily, I had called certain explanations impossible, and touched them only lightly in my investigation. And yet, what could really be classed as impossible in a case which itself was utterly impossible? Back down to Barton Moss again, and then 10 days of painstaking work. At the end of those 10 days, I was certain that I'd found at least the essentials of the answer, and I was equally certain that I could never prove it. I could see only one bare chance, a desperate chance against long odds. I laid my plan before the chief inspector, and then Scotland Yard went into action.
The London Times, 21st November, 1890. Rumours are circulating that a man named Dalton, arriving in Liverpool on the steamer Vistula tomorrow, may hold the key to the long-standing Manchester railway mystery. According to reliable sources, Mr. Dalton possesses recently discovered copies of the documents which were carried in the briefcase of the ill-fated Mr. Caratol. It is further stated that Scotland Yard is arranging to meet Mr. Dalton at the Liverpool pier and rush him forthwith to London.
The next afternoon, accompanied by Mr. Dalton, I walked into the office of Mr. James Bland, station master at Liverpool, and chartered a special train for London.
We shall have the train ready for you to leave in 10 minutes, Inspector Collins.
Good. I'm most anxious to get Mr. Dalton and his briefcase to London as quickly as possible.
Yes, I saw the squib in yesterday's paper, and I was afraid then you'd be wanting a special train arranged. I'm still worried about it, as a matter of fact.
Oh, I hardly think there's any need to be. You've run a good many specials up to Manchester since that affair 6 months ago, and you've never lost another one, now, have you?
No, but I'll confess I've shaken in my boots every time I've watched one of them pull out of here.
I say now, you're going to have me jumping at my own shadow.
Oh, don't worry, Mr. Dalton. I'll have you in London before you know it, and none the worse for the trip.
Nevertheless, Inspector, you'll have to admit the situation today is very much like the one 6 months ago.
Oh, yes, in some ways.
The mysterious stranger riding by steamer from South America, and in urgent haste to reach London. The carefully watched briefcase, which, according to rumor, contains the very same sort of material Mr. Carroll was carrying.
But there is one difference. Mr. Dalton is being accompanied by an agent from Scotland Yard.
Yes, but Mr. Carroll also had a guard, that chap Gomez. And both of them disappeared.
Oh, come now. Surely you don't think that anything so fantastic could possibly...
Oh, no, he's right, Mr. Dalton. It did happen once, and a number of the elements are similar. Well, Mr. Bland, I'll wire you as soon as we reach Manchester.
Hardly necessary, Inspector. I think I shall go along with you.
What good? But if you're looking forward to excitement, I can't promise it.
No, it will probably be a very ordinary trip. But if I stayed here, I'd be a nervous wreck by the time you reached Manchester.
Well, then come along by all means. Mr. Dalton and I will enjoy your company.
Your train is just pulled up the platform, gentlemen.
Good. Well, gentlemen, we can't keep the fates waiting, huh? Let's get aboard.
Well, it's certainly been an uneventful journey so far.
Why, I hardly expected anything to happen this side of Kenyon Junction. And it's right ahead of us there.
Inspector Collins, you mean you are expecting something to happen on the other side of it?
Oh, yes. Yes, that's the whole purpose of the trip.
I don't believe I follow you.
Yes, I imagine it is about time that you were brought in on this, Mr. Bland. I didn't want to take any chances by discussing it before we were well along towards the danger area.
We're passing through Kenyon Junction, Inspector.
Good. Mr. Dalton there is a Scotland Yard agent, by the way, Mr. Bland.
Oh?
And all he's carrying in that mysterious briefcase is half a dozen ham sandwiches.
I think I should welcome some sort of explanation, Inspector Collins.
Yes, do you ever hear of the old trick an archer uses when he loses an arrow? He shoots another in the same general direction, follows it, and sometimes he finds both of them. Well, this train and all of us aboard it constitute the second arrow, Mr. Bland.
Do you mean you're expecting this train to vanish like the other? Why, you're deliberately risking our lives.
Oh, the risk is not quite so great as you may imagine.
But what makes you believe the attempt will be repeated?
I've created as nearly as possible the same set of conditions that led to the first disappearance. If I'm right about the motivation, the parties concerned can hardly afford not to repeat.
What motivation? I fail to see one.
Well, it requires a bit of assuming, Mr. Bland, but the assumptions seem to fit the facts as well as the method used. Let's take some of those facts. Mr. Carrator was in a frantic hurry to reach Paris. His briefcase apparently contained something of great value. He was afraid an attempt would be made to prevent his reaching Paris.
Yes.
In Paris at that time, a huge financial scandal was brewing, which later came to nothing because of lack of evidence. The scandal involved illegal land operations in Central America, and Mr. Carrator had just arrived from Central America with his briefcase.
Even so?
Yeah, and finally, it must require a good deal of money to bring about the disappearance of a locomotive and coaches, whereas ordinary criminals rarely have a good deal of money. Now, do you follow me?
Yes. Yes, of course. If all that's true, then the idea was to eliminate Carratal completely, along with his evidence.
And that's exactly what was done.
Inspector, we just passed the spot where John Slater's body was found.
Well, then heads up, Mr. Dalton. It's only a few hundred yards now.
Tell me this, Inspector. Have you also discovered how the thing was done?
Oh, yes. But I'm in the unfortunate position of not being able to prove it.
And what do you think it's going to prove if the same thing happens to us?
Oh, that. Well, I forgot to mention that there are 20 agents of Scotland Yard concealed in the coach behind us. They're specially selected, armed with rifles, and are there for the express purpose of making sure the same thing does not happen to us.
We're slowing down, Inspector Collins. Well, I think this is it.
Slowing down? Why?
We're leaving the main line.
But we can't leave the main line. There's no siding here.
Oh, yes, there is. There's the spur track to the Heartsease Colliery.
But it's abandoned. There's no connection to the main line. The rails were taken away years ago.
Ordinarily, you would be right, Mr. Bland, but at the moment there's an excellent switch installed at the main line, and also a very serviceable set of rails connecting it with the old track. We're traveling over them now, as a matter of fact. You see anything, Mr. Dalton?
Not yet, sir.
The train is being manned, incidentally, by Scotland Yard agents. I took the liberty of holding the regular crew in the coach behind us until we could find out which of them has been bought off, which scheduled to end up like John Slater.
But I must confess,
Inspector, look. Men are coming out of the bushes behind it. They're already starting to pull up the rails.
You'll see, Mr. Bland. In 15 minutes, you'll be right again. There'll be no connection between the Heartsease siding and the main line.
Yes, I see now. By heaven, I never would
Mr.
have...
Bland, it won't do any good to try to signal with that pocket handkerchief.
I'm afraid I don't quite understand you, Inspector.
Then perhaps you'll understand the fact that you're under arrest for the murder of Caratol, Gomez, and John Slater.
Why, that's utterly ridiculous. Why have we stopped?
In order to permit it... there's your answer. I think that 20 agents of Scotland Yard should prove more than a match for your assistance.
Your guesses are nothing less than preposterous, Inspector. What could I or anyone else gain by merely switching a train onto an abandoned siding? The other special, if you recall, disappeared.
Yes, so it did. And straight ahead of us, a mile and a half, if you recall, Mr. Bland, this spur ends at the Heartsease mine shaft, one of the largest inclined shafts in this part of the country. According to the records, it used to be 900 feet deep. But upon investigating it last week, I found it closed off by a tremendous cave-in at 400 feet. Now tell me, Mr. Bland, was the cave-in caused by the explosion of the locomotive's boiler when it struck the bottom? Or did you dynamite the shaft after the train went into it?
You've no proof of any of this and no evidence whatsoever against me.
Your train crew in the coach behind us have all signed statements. And I think we'll get a good deal more evidence from the men who are being rounded up out there now.
I have nothing further to say.
There's nothing you can say, Mr. Bland. We've seen your bank account with those mysterious and heavy entries which are dated about the time the special disappeared, which I am sure we shall be able to trace to certain French sources. We succeeded in tracing down McPherson and Smith, the fireman and conductor you bribed to vanish. Too bad you couldn't bribe Slater, the engineer, because his death was most unfortunate. You see, his body furnished us with our first clue. Yes, Mr. Bland. Without Slater's body, we might really have thought that the lost special had disappeared into thin air.
Escape is produced and directed by Norman MacDonald. Today we have presented The Lost Special by Conan Doyle, adapted for radio by Les Crutchfield, with editorial supervision by John Dunkel. Starred as Inspector Collins was Ben Wright, and the featured players were Parley Bear, John Daner, Edgar Barrier, Larry Dobkin, and Paul Frees. The special music was arranged and played by Ivan Ditmars. Next week...
You're aboard the Orient Express, rushing through the European night, bound for Constantinople. And in your compartment with you, a gun pointed at your head, a small, mysterious foreigner is about to take your life.
Next week, we escape with Graham Greene's exciting novel of intrigue, Orient Express. Goodbye, then, until this same time next week, when CBS again offers you Escape. For more adventures, seek it out with two top CBS shows tonight. The Adventures of Philip Marlowe and Gangbusters, both regular Saturday features on most of the same CBS network stations. Be sure to hear them tonight. Now, stay tuned for 5 minutes of the latest news, to be followed by the Let's Pretend program over most of these same CBS stations. This is Roy Rowan speaking for CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. and Wheat Chex, the bite-sized cereals in the red and white checkerboard packages, present Space Patrol! High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol! In today's transcribed Space Patrol adventure, Buzz and Happy, dressed as prospectors, are tramping across the great Martian desert toward Polidor's hideout.
We're getting closer. That must be the hideout right over that dune.
We can't expect to sneak up and surprise him. The best we can hope for is that we can get close before he recognizes us.
Uh-oh.
I see him. He sees us. Just keep walking.
I can't tell whether it's Polidor or not, but he's got a gun.
Halt! What do you want?
Our car is back in the desert about 2 miles.
That's too bad. But you won't need it anymore.
Look out, Happy. He's got a blast gun.
We'll return in just a moment with today's exciting Space Patrol adventure, Trial by Terror. Gang, here's a scene I like to see in every Space Patroller's kitchen when I tune in my viewscope at breakfast time. It looks something like this. A big bowl on the table, a spoon, and next to the bowl and spoon, a red and white checkerboard package of Rice Chex. Then into the bowl goes the Rice Chex. Then cream and sugar, and sometimes fresh fruit. And now it's time to dig in. And man, oh man, oh man, digging into that bowl of Rice Chex is just like digging into a bowl full of sunshine. Golden shredded rice biscuits, triple oven toasted, till they're crisp as a cookie and 3 times as tasty. Tops for taste, you bet. Tops for size, too. Made in that modern bite-sized design for slick and easy eating. And Rice Chex is tops for get up and go. After a good, nourishing breakfast with Rice Chex, you're full of the same super-powered get up and go that Commander Corey starts off his day with. So, Space Patrollers, the next time I tune in my viewscope at breakfast time, I want to see you eating Rice Chex. And if you're a whole wheat fan, try Wheat Chex. Remember, Chex are tops 3 ways, for taste, size, and get up and go. In the red and white checkerboard packages, with the big full-color picture of Commander Corey or Cadet Happy on the outside, and the wonderful free Space Patrol trading card on the inside. Rice Chex, Wheat Chex. And now today's Space Patrol adventure, Trial by Terror. Commander Corey and Cadet Happy are maintaining an all-night vigil in Room 27 of the Space Patrol Security Lab. Room 27 houses an array of electronics equipment known officially as the Terra Internal Protective Alarm Coordinator, but usually referred to as the Crime Track. The complex device is connected to hundreds of key points on the man-made planet Terra, banks, government offices, and laboratories. Its sensitive detection instruments are ready to report any attempt at forced entry, unusual movement, or outbreak of fire at any of these crucial locations. For hours now, the row of viewscope screens have remained dark. Unbroken rows of small green lights indicate the system is in operation in all circuits. Bored by the uneventful hours of waiting, Happy stands up and stretches.
It looks like that tip on Polidor was false, sir. Unless he managed to break into the vault without setting off an alarm.
Not even he could do that. The vault at Triplanet Construction Company is equipped with nearly every known detection device.
Polidor must know that.
Yes, there's a good chance he also knows that there are 2 million credits in the vault. It's a tempting haul.
He's sure running an awful risk.
His men are. You can be sure that Polidor himself is playing it safe.
Sir, would it be all right if I skip down to the commissary for another glass of milk?
Wait till Lieutenant Callan gets back, huh?
Yes, sir. Well, I sure wouldn't want his job. Imagine having to watch these panels 6 hours a day and nothing ever happens. Uh-oh, I spoke too soon.
Check the panel, Hap.
Hey, it looks like that tip was on the level after all.
Hey, wait a minute. That alarm isn't from the Triplanet vault. Their light's still green. What's the number under the red light?
49, sir.
49. That's Universal Map and Chart Company.
Polidor's mob wouldn't be pulling that job.
Hey, Lieutenant Callan, we're at the local... Hap, something's wrong with the time track.
Hey, there must be a short circuit. Smoke's just pouring out of the panel. Smoke and rockets, the central panel blew up.
Every circuit's dead.
Wow, with the alarm system out, every bank on Terra could be robbed.
Now get Lieutenant Callan. I'll space phone our patrol cars to close in on Triplanet and the map company.
Less than a mile from Space Patrol headquarters, a small surface truck pulls up to the rear of the Zenith Microfilm Laboratory building. A man leaps from the truck, grabs a large case, and enters the building. Then, taking a heavy metal bar, he scrapes it across the floor. A section of the flooring swings upward, held against the metal bar by the pull of a magnet on the underside of the trap door.
Placing the case down in the opening, the man closes the trap door and walks to a spaceophone transmitter.
Bram Slazer at Station 5 Terra calling Polidor. Bram Slazer calling Polidor.
Polidor here. Go ahead, Slazer.
Arnog and I got the credits.
Excellent. Any trouble?
Not in the Triplanet vault, but we were nearly stopped by a Space Patrol surface car during the getaway. There were patrol cars all around the Triplanet building.
There may have been some sort of leak. But we won't worry about that now that you got the 2 million credits.
When do Harnog and I blast off?
Both of you remain on Terra until further orders. Lie low for a couple of days.
Now, but Polidor, the original agreement was that we were to deliver the credits to you right away and get paid off.
You'll be running a risk if you try to take that money off of Terra now. In a day or two, I will provide a distraction.
What do you mean, distraction?
Something will happen to one of the big cities on Mars. A disaster so terrible that Corey will forget all about those 2 million credits.
Now, what's going to happen?
I want it to be a surprise. You and Harnong stay on Terra and keep out of trouble. Polidor out.
Boss and Happy have just returned to the commander's central office at Space Patrol headquarters after examining the vault at the Tri-Planet Construction Company building.
Wow. 2 million credits gone, and not a single clue. Polidor did it again.
He got away with the theft, but we'll have some clues when he tries to put that money into circulation.
What do you mean, sir? Checking the serial numbers?
That'd be difficult. The money was in fairly small bills, but they're impregnated with radioactive carbon particles. Within a few hours, every bank in the solar system will be supplied with radiation detectors.
Then when anyone passes any of that money across the counter, he'll be nabbed.
No. A Space Patrol agent will be put on his trail. The person actually passing the money might be entirely innocent. It'll take a lot of quiet investigation, but eventually we'll trace the money back to its original source, to one of Polidor's men.
That could take weeks.
Maybe months, unless Polidor's short of operating cash.
If we could only find out who tipped us off.
The lab experts had examined the damage at the crime trap in room 27. Somehow, one of Polidor's men bridged a small explosive device across one of the circuits in the main control.
Oh, right here in headquarters.
The attempt to break into the map company had just one purpose: to set off an alarm in the coordinator system. And that triggered the explosive that blew out the master control.
And prevented the alarm in the Tri-Planet vault from registering.
Right. Polidor had both jobs timed to the split second.
Well, the biggest mystery right now is who tampered with the control panel in room 27.
That part isn't a mystery, Hap. One of the maintenance men was in there yesterday. He didn't show up for duty today, and he can't be located.
If we could only find him. And give him a brainograph test.
That wouldn't help much. You know how Polidor works. His men know only their own phase of the job, nothing about anything higher up. Now get it. Corey here.
Commander, this is Special Agent Parker. Some of that Tri-Planet money's already in circulation.
Interesting. Polidor's trying to unload it fast, huh?
Yeah, tell her the Terra bank was handed a 100-credit note. It was as radioactive as Madame Curie's floor mop.
Have you traced the bill?
The teller told me it was passed by a fellow that works for Zenith Microfilm Lab. His name's Harnung. Want me to follow up on it, Commander?
Find out all you can about the microfilm lab, but indirectly. Check on their employees, who owns it, and who their clients are.
Yes, sir.
Where is this outfit?
467 Orion.
Keep working undercover, Parker. I'll check on Harnung. Corey out.
Say, this Zenith outfit is really sharp. Look at their sign. An elephant never forgets. Neither does Zenith Microfilm. And it takes less space.
Clever. And below it, our clients are protected by Typac.
Hey, they're closed.
There's a light on inside.
Somebody's coming.
Keep that radiation detector out of sight. While I'm talking to this fellow, you wander around the plant.
A little private snooping, huh?
Make it obvious youthful curiosity. Walk close to their files, but be interested in their lab equipment.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I was about to say we're closed for business, but of course that doesn't apply to the Space Patrol.
I'm looking for Mr. Harnung.
Oh, I'm Harnung. What can I do for you?
I'd like to ask you a few routine questions inside, if you don't mind.
Of course. Come in, gentlemen. Sit down. I was just checking through some orders. Got a few rush shipments I want to get out tonight.
I'll go right ahead. We can talk as you work.
Thank you.
Hey, you've sure got a lot of swell equipment here.
Better not touch anything, Happy. You might upset some delicate adjustments.
Yes, sir.
No, he can't have heard anything. Now, what was it, Commander?
You visited the Terra Bank this morning, is that right?
Yeah. On some business for the firm.
You gave the teller a 100-credit note.
Don't tell me it wasn't any good.
No, it was good, all right. I'd just like to know where you got it.
I'm afraid I can't tell you, Commander.
You mean you get so many 100-credit bills you can't remember?
I wish that were true. No, what I mean is I wasn't in the office when the bill came in. Perhaps Mr. Ogilvy could help you. He's our bookkeeper. I could tell you where he lives.
Oh, fine. You can give me his address later.
Say, is it all right if I go back here?
Huh? Oh, the processing lab? Yeah, of course. Make yourself at home.
Now, don't disturb anything, Happy.
All right, Commander.
Now, Mr. Harnong, when would this 100-credit bill have come in?
Well, I don't know. Possibly late yesterday. This morning, our petty cash was low, so I took the bill to the bank to get it changed. As I say, if you go and talk to Ogilvy...
I'll do that. I noticed you're protected by Terra Internal Alarm Coordinator Service. Do you often have material here that would tempt burglars?
Well, Commander, frankly, we don't need the service, but it looks good on our advertising. You and I know that no burglar's going to waste his time and run the risk of breaking into a place like this.
Excuse me, Commander.
Yes, Happy?
Something very interesting back in the lab.
Oh?
Well, things are really clicking.
Harnong, before you give me your bookkeeper's address, I'd like to see the rest of your plant.
Yeah, of course. Now, over here's our display room where we show the plant samples of...
I'd like to see the lab first.
There's something radioactive under the floor of the lab, sir.
Okay, Hap. Come on, Harnong. I'm sure we'll need your explanation of some of the lab equipment.
That's just like any commercial microfilm lab, Commander. Nothing you gentlemen wouldn't understand.
You never can tell. There are tricks to every trade.
Here's the spot, Commander. Listen to the detector. Now watch what happens when I put it down on the floor.
What's under this flooring, Harnong?
I don't know.
If you look close, Commander, you can make out very fine cracks in the floor in the form of a square, like a closely fitted trap door.
Yes, I see. Open it up, Harnong.
Look, I don't know what you're talking about.
By the way that detector's clicking, I'd say there's about 2 million credits worth of radioactivity under this floor.
If I can find something sharp, maybe I can pry it open, sir. Oh, I know, that metal bar. Hey, that's funny. It was right over here under the window, on top of a packing case. It looked like a crowbar. Yeah, but where did it go?
Here it is, Cadet. Oh, I got Corey. Hold it. No, you don't, Harnong.
Nice going, Slazer.
You couldn't wait to dip into that 2 million credits.
How about Slazer? We were broke. How did I know?
Shut up. Take this bar and open the trapdoor. While you're loading the money in the surface car, I'll make sure that Corey and the cadet are out of the way for good.
We'll return to Space Patrol in just a moment.
This is Dick Tufeld in St. Louis reporting on the twin-jet Air Force fighter, the McDonnell Voodoo XF-88A. In a moment, we'll hear from the noted test pilot who flies this plane, Phil Houghton. Speed of the Voodoo is a military secret, but it's plenty fast. Wingspan is 40 feet, length 55, weight 10 tons. And now, Phil Houghton recorded at Lambert Airfield.
After seeing the Voodoo, I guess you know why I like my job. There's one thing about it, though. The test pilot has to stay in good condition, get lots of sleep, and eat good, healthy food. That's why I like rice checks and wheat checks for breakfast. They've got plenty of energy in them, and they really taste swell. I think you'll like them, too.
Make sure you stay in condition the way Phil Houghton, J. Ray Donahue Jr., and other top test pilots do. Every morning, eat a good, nourishing breakfast with rice checks or wheat checks, the cereals that are tops 3 ways. Tops for taste, for size, and for real get up and go. That's Chex, rice or wheat. Remember, they're tops with America's top pilots.
And now back to our Space Patrol adventure, Trial by Terror. Using a radiation detector, Buzz and Happy have discovered the hiding place of 2 million stolen credits in a microfilm laboratory used as a front by 2 members of Polidor's gang. While the Space Patrollers were busy with Harnung, the other criminal Slazer emerged from hiding and knocked out the Commander and Happy before they could defend themselves. Right now, while Harnung removes the stolen money to a surface car, Slazer grips a metal bar as Buzz dazedly raises his head.
Don't try to get up, Corey. I can make it quick and painless for you and the cadet if you don't try to put up a fight.
How much is Polidor giving you out of that 2 million credits?
And what makes you think we're working for Polidor?
I've got the money in the car. What's taking you...
Hey, quiet, you fool. Don't stand in the door bellowing. Now, what is it?
Have you finished them yet?
Have a quick push against this stack of cases.
Yes, sir.
When they fall, they may break that
You're
window.
a thorough job. With this much
They're rocking, sir.
Their fault.
That does it?
Hey, what good do you think that's going to do you?
Window opens into the alley and it's deserted.
I realize that.
I'm just stalling. Get to work with that bar, Slazy.
Just a moment. I believe this plant's protected by Terra Internal Alarm Service.
What about it?
Oh, nothing. Except that in room 27 at Terra headquarters, a red light's flashing. In a few seconds, every patrol car in the district will be heading this way.
Slazer, he's right. Let's get out of here, quick.
Corey's bluffing. The master panel's out of commission.
We've got auxiliary units, you know. But of course, it's up to you. Polidor will be mighty grateful to you for getting rid of us at the cost of your own freedom.
Slazer, come on.
It would only take a second.
Every second counts. Throw that bar down and let's go.
All right. But there's one thing I'm going to do first. Smash this spacer pole.
That's enough. Come on.
Let's go. We'll lock him in.
Oh, that was close.
I'll give you a hand, Hap.
Oh, my head. Oh. Hey, I didn't know that master alarm panel was replaced so quickly. I'm surprised.
If it's working, I'm surprised. Slazer sure put that spacerphone out of order. I'll check the dials. Maybe I can find out what frequencies they've been using. Hap, get that bar and pry open the door.
Weakened and dazed by their treatment at the hands of Slazer and Harnung, it's several minutes before Buzz and Happy can wrench open the locked door of the microfilm lab. Hailing a patrol car, Buzz spacephones an alert at the Terra spaceport. Then he and Happy speed to headquarters to supervise the hunt for Slazer and Harnung. Right now, as Happy enters the commander's office after an errand to the security lab, Buzz adjusts a spacephone receiver.
The alarm coordinator panel is working now, Commander. Gee, if they'd only finished it a few minutes sooner, our alarm from the microfilm lab would have gone through.
Well, we've had a couple of good breaks, though, Hap. 3 of Bolidor's chief agents have been picked up, 2 in Saturn City and 1 on Mercury.
Great. When we give him a brain graft test, maybe we can find out where Polidor is.
I know where he is.
What?
I've been monitoring the frequencies I found jotted down by Harnung and Slazer at the microfilm lab. I intercepted a call from Polidor, and communications got a fix on it.
Where is he?
On Mars. Approximately in the center of Sector K7 on the Great Martian Desert.
Well, then what are we waiting for? Let's go.
Polidor calling Station 7 Mercury. Polidor calling Station 7 Mercury. Station 7, I assume you are listening but cannot acknowledge. Disaster Plan C is now in effect. Repeat, Disaster Plan C is now in effect. Suspend operations until after Space Patrol sounds triple red. At approximately 1500 hours. Polidor out.
What's he talking about? Triple red is our... Commander, triple red is our code for a Mars emergency.
Exactly.
We'd better notify Mars Space Patrol where Polidor is.
They know, Hap. Getting Polidor might be simple, but it wouldn't necessarily stop this disaster plan C of his.
It sounds as though he's getting desperate.
Right. Gotta take him by surprise. He expects us to sound a triple red at about 1500 hours.
That would give us time to get to Mars, maybe with 2 hours to spare.
We'll need that time, Hap. Hundreds of lives, maybe thousands, depend on how we use those 2 hours.
In a skillfully camouflaged building in the great Martian desert, the master criminal Polidor counts through several huge stacks of credits. Then glowers at the 2 men who sit silently in a corner.
You're 100 credits short of 2 million.
I explained that, Polidor. I needed money for expenses,
So you trotted right down to the Terra Bank with a radioactive 100-credit bill. I ought to cut your share in half.
But, Polidor, now we know those bills are radioactive. Otherwise, you might have circulated some yourself and got caught.
You have to admit he's right, Polidor.
What good is this money if we can't pass it?
That isn't enough, Paul. And maybe we can neutralize the radiation.
Yeah, that's true. Right now I have something more urgent to think about. The destruction of Lowell City.
What?
Lowell City?
Disaster Plan C, remember?
Well, what do we gain by that?
With a city in ruins, who is going to bother about you or me? The Space Patrol will have its hands full.
How are you going to do it?
It will be simple. Right now on Deimos, the outer moon of Mars, is a robot spaceship full of high explosives. I can control it from here. Cause it to blast off and set it on a vector that will send it crashing into Lowell City.
Isn't there some other way to save our skins? Destroying a whole city.
If you think of a method as effective, I'll consider it. In the meantime, follow orders. No one must interfere with my plan to destroy Lower City. Naturally, no ships can approach without warning. But an attack by land is another matter.
What are you worried about? This place is like a fort.
Yes, and forts have been known to fall even to a few men on foot. You two are going on patrol right now.
After a swift flight to Mars, Buzz and Happy set their spaceship down in the great Martian desert, miles from Polidor's hideout. Dressed as prospectors, they cover more miles in a battered desert-going surface car. Now, their faces and hands grimy with grease and dirt to hide their identity, they trudge onward through the cold Martian twilight.
Perhaps slow down, let your shoulders slump. You'd be spotted as a space patroller from a mile away.
We're getting closer. That must be the hideout right over that dune.
Yeah, we can't expect to sneak up and surprise Polidor. The best we can hope for is to get close to him before he recognizes us.
Uh-oh. Look.
I see him, Hap. He sees us. Just keep walking.
What light there is behind him. I can't tell whether it's Polidor or not, but he's got a gun.
Halt! What do you want?
Our car is back in the desert about 2 miles.
That's too bad. But you won't need it anymore.
Drop Happy. He's got a blast gun.
I missed you on purpose. But if either of you makes a move, I'll let you have it.
It's Slazer.
Let him do all the talking.
Well. On your feet, men, and keep your hands up. That's it. I'll just take your weapons. Thanks, Commander. Now yours, Cadet. You know, Polidor will be glad to see you. And I can finish what I started back on Terra. Now get moving. Go on in.
Who are these men?
Just a couple of prospectors. Prospecting for trouble.
Oh, Corey and the cadet. You're just in time to watch the destruction of Lowell City.
Lowell City?
So that's what you meant by disaster plan C.
Oh, so you intercepted one of my spaceophone messages. Yes, Commander. A few minutes ago, I launched a robot spaceship from the outer moon. At 1500 hours, it will crash into the heart of Lowell City. It is now 14:55.
Polidor, what can you possibly gain by a thing like that?
I'm a hunted man, Commander. Even with you out of the way, your hounds of the law will be hot on my scent.
Well, do you think raiding a city will make them stop hunting you?
No. But it will give me a breathing spell while the Space Patrol is evacuating the injured, caring for the homeless.
Why, you inhuman...
Careful, Commander. Slazer, cut on the viewscope. The large screen, if you will. Thank you. There. What you see there is the planet Mars as it looks from the nose port of a robot ship. Each second brings it closer to its target.
You've forgotten about space control. They'll detect it.
No, Cadet. In a moment, I will step into the next room where the control mechanism is. And at the proper time, I will change vector. Space control defenses will have no time to act.
Polidor, think of the helpless women and children in that city.
It is nearly time to change vector. Watch the screen, gentlemen. You will see Lowell City move from the right edge to the exact center. It will grow larger and larger. And when the screen goes blank... Stop him! Stop Corey! Corey, come out of there! Open this door! Laser, you and Harnung keep an eye on the cadet.
Sure we will.
Go move, Cadet.
Harnung, cut on the intercom so Corey can hear me.
Okay. Look at the screen. Corey's changing the course of the robot ship.
Hooray, Commander, you did it. You saved Lowell City. Save your cheers, Cadet. Commander, can you hear me?
Yes, Polidor, I hear you.
Open this door. If I have to break it down, I'll come in there with a blast gun.
Come ahead. Now I've got a blast gun, too. Now, what are you waiting for? You're 3-1 against me.
Harnung, Slazer, one of you go and get him.
You go in, Polidor. It's your idea.
You cowards. I'll fix him. Corey, you forget that we got the cadet out here. If you want to see him alive, surrender. Come out with your hands up and empty.
Smart thinking, Polidor. That'll get him.
How about it, Corey? Are you coming out, or do we shoot the cadet?
Don't let him bluff you, Commander. After he wrecks the city, he'll get us anyway.
Now, isn't the cadet heroic?
Shut up, all of you. Well, Corey, I'm counting to 10.
While you're counting, look at the viewscope screen. What do you see?
You're heading the robot toward Mars.
That's right. Straight toward the center of Sector K7.
That's where we are.
Corey, are you crazy? You blow us all up.
We gotta get in there and stop him. Change that control.
Now, listen, all of you. If I hear a shot, I'm going to smash this robot control. Nothing you can do will prevent that ship full of explosives from crashing.
Polidor, look at the screen. It's getting close. Let's get out of here.
You plan to destroy a city. That means you can't run far enough or fast enough to avoid that explosion.
Corey, listen to reason. Stop that thing. Change its course.
Not until you give Happy your weapons.
Listen. It's getting close. Polidor, give up.
Don't be fools. We got 2 million credits here, and Corey's bluffing. He won't dare let the ship crash here.
Oh, no?
It's right above us. Polidor, give up!
Yes, Polidor, surrender. I'll shoot you.
No, don't. You heard what Corey said. If he hears a shot, he'll smash the controls. All right, Corey, we'll surrender. Cadet, take our guns, quick. Please, just drop them.
How's it going out there, Hap?
I've got him covered, Commander.
Hurry.
Please.
Change vector.
You may get up off your knees now, gentlemen.
Well, I see everything's under control, huh?
Yes,
Except Polidor and his pals are nearly passed out from fright. It's a shame in a way.
I know what you mean, Hap. I'd hoped that...
Hey, Polidor's going for a gun!
Oh, no, he's not. Thanks, Polidor. I've been wanting to get that out of my system for a long time.
It's over. It's all over.
Good thinking. Polidor doesn't need a spaceship to fall on him. Or does he?
An action preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure in just a moment. Say, Space Patrollers, Commander Corey's been getting a lot of fan letters lately. Got a couple of them right here. And man, oh man, you should hear all the wonderful things Space Patrollers are saying about Chex. Listen, I'll quote you a few. Love those Chex. Best tasting cereals of all. And taste real George with fruit. Super swell with milk and sugar. Here's another good one. I like Chex because they're bite-sized. Take along a pocketful most every place I go. There you have it, gang, and that's just a few. But I know that you'll all like Chex. They're the tops in cereals, tops 3 ways. For taste, size, and get up and go.
Right, Captain Tufeld. Commander Corey here, Space Patrollers. Now, I want all of you to be Rice Chex, Wheat Chex fans like I am. So try 'em. Have yourself a good, nourishing breakfast with Chex. And I'm sure you'll agree, Chex are tops in cereals.
Gang, you heard what the commander said, and he's the #1 Chex fan. So go get him today. In the red and white checkerboard packages, with the picture of the commander or Cadet Happy on the outside, and the wonderful free Space Patrol trading card inside. Rice Chex, Wheat Chex, tops 3 ways. For taste, for size, for get up and go. Now, a preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure. Buzz and Happy are trying to escape from a mysterious underworld kingdom on Mercury. Suddenly, a robed figure steps before them.
Commander, it's Varg.
There is no use resisting. You will never leave this underground city.
What's going to stop us?
The sun. The precious sunlight you surface dwellers prize so much. It is pouring down into the shafts beneath you.
What's he talking about, Commander?
The sun's heat here on Mercury is terrific. If it suddenly expands those pockets of frozen air, it'll blast these caverns wide open.
Be sure to join us next week for the thrilling story, Menace Under Mercury, when Rice Chex and Wheat Chex again present Space Patrol! Space Patrol, created by Mike Moser, starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston, produced and directed by Larry Robertson, executive producer Helen Moser. Other players were Baylor Kovach, Norman Jolly, and Ken Mayer. Dick Tufeld speaking. Now, don't forget to tune in next Saturday and every Saturday when Rice Chex and Wheat Chex present exciting action on Space Patrol. This program is broadcast to our armed forces overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Space Patrol came to you transcribed from Hollywood. This is ABC Radio Network.